Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Network on Sunday, July 13th, 2014. This is episode 1100. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace which connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/twit and receive a $50 Visa prepaid card when you get a loan. And by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code TECHGUY when you check out. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater, MP3 players. I used to say that. I don't know if we have any anymore. GPS, no. Camcorders, no. We could just start checking them off the list, but we do have smartphones and home theater and digital cameras. Our digital photographer, Chris Marquardt, coming up a little later on in the day to talk photography. Phone number is 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, including New Jersey. But if you're outside that area, you can always use Skype to call us. It's toll free. 8888-ASK-LEO is the phone number. Let's see what's been going on in the tech world. I talked a little bit of the Android Wear watch, which I finally got, after I came back from Hawaii. Thank you, by the way, Scott Wilkinson, for filling in for me last week. I appreciate it. And yesterday I talked a little bit about how, I don't know if this is kind of going to, as with all of these devices, I'm a little skeptical. And yet, as time goes by, I've kind of come to like it. Yesterday I was sending text messages, receiving them from the watch. Fun things. I don't know. Maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. This is the Android Wear platform. This is the newest thing. Yeah, Google announced it at their I/O conference a few weeks ago, and the first watches from LG and Samsung are out. Samsung's not like the Gear, the Samsung Gear, which it's had for some time, and the Gear 2 is out, and the Gear Fit. This is a pure Google experience, just made by Samsung or LG. Motorola is doing their 360. The Samsung and LG are square. The Motorola will be round, kind of more like a regular watch, which is kind of neat. But they're clunky and they're big because they have to, and I have to charge it every night. But the watch is pretty cool in terms of notifications. You can talk to it. You can tap it. You can query it without taking your phone out of the pocket. Google estimated that Android users take their phones out of their pocket to look at the screen 125 times each day. I said, you shouldn't have to do that. You just look at your wrist. I'll wear it for a few weeks and we'll see. I've had them all. Most recently, the Basis watch, which looked just the same. The world's most advanced health tracker. It was more of a health tracker watch. This does steps, but it doesn't do health tracking. Mostly it's passing notifications from your phone, kind of like the Pebble Watch. So stay tuned. Jury's still out on these things. Probably not worth buying yet. Everybody's waiting to see if Apple's going to do the magic thing they did, remember, with the smartphone, the iPhone, the iPod. These were not the first in the category by any means, but they did something magical and they made it good. All the MP3 players before the iPod were terrible. I mean, I had them, I loved them, and I just like this. I was like, gosh, so much promise, but it doesn't deliver. And then the iPod came out, and it was like, bing. Same thing with smartphones. I had many smartphones. Last my smartphone was the BlackBerry. Then the iPhone came out in 2007, and everything changed. iPad, same thing. Can Apple repeat this magic? I don't think so. I think those days are gone, but we'll see. We'll find out probably someday. Apple's not saying. They haven't even said they're doing a watch. We just all guess that they are. Federal judge has ruled that Amazon must unmask negative reviewers on Amazon.com. Uber Vita, a nutritional supplement firm, said that we want to know who's publishing these negative reviews of our stuff. The judge said Uber Vita can issue subpoenas to Amazon and Craigslist to get the identity. Uber Vita claims a campaign of dirty tricks. And the judge agreed. U.S. District Judge Marsha Peckman said that they can subpoena the companies and get the names of the people and go after them. I get presumably sue them for libel. You know, it's kind of funny because another judge, right about the same time, ruled that if you're posting negative comments on a financial services forum message board, your anonymity is protected. Even if there's some evidence that perhaps you're a short seller trying to damage a company so you can make some money on it. Nanovirusides sought disclosure of the name of an anonymous author known as the Pump Terminator, who allegedly posted defamatory articles about nanovirusides on a website called Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha said, move to dismiss. The judge agreed. Yep. So wait a minute. Let me just recap. If you're posting negative reviews on Amazon, you could get sued for libel, even if you're sincere in those reviews. If you're trying to make money by slamming a stock just for the sake of making money because you're a short seller, that's okay. See, these judges, they need to exchange memos or something. What are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you. This is what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? But they don't. And so, obviously, the law is open to interpretation. Verizon says Netflix is interpreting its data wrong when it blames Verizon for congested video on their network. Remember, Netflix was putting up a little notice on Verizon customers' page. Sorry, Netflix is not so good. Blame Verizon. I'm paraphrasing. Verizon sued and got them to take that down, or threatened to sue and got them to take it down. Now Verizon's responding on their blog saying, it's not our fault, it's their fault. Not us. We checked. We're not congested. They are. I don't know why. You know, I don't know. I don't have the information, the evidence, one way or the other. But somehow I feel I blame Verizon and I don't blame Netflix. Maybe that's just personal. And a cover supposedly for the iPhone, the next iPhone, the iPhone 6, again, we don't know, supposedly sapphire-based cover or glass for the front of the phone has been leaked. Showed off earlier this week in a video from Hong Kong. The video showed the glass bending. Marcus Brownlee, who does videos on YouTube, MKBHD on YouTube, tried to scratch it with his keys and his knife couldn't do it. Finally, one Hong Kong reviewer was able to drive over it with a 1.6-ton truck and break it. Okay, that's good. I don't plan, you know, I think it's reasonable to say my iPhone is robust, is strong, but it's not going to break until I drive over it with a 1.6-ton truck. I think that's okay. I'm willing to accept that. Now, I got to point out, we don't know if this really is the front of an iPhone. We don't know what it is. We don't even know if it's sapphire. Nobody has yet, I don't know how you analyze that, but nobody's yet decided to do the chemical analysis. Might just be, who knows, some magic Kevlar product. It's clear. And it's 4.7 inches. If it's real, and I think it's probably real just because it's so hard to fake something like this, that means that Apple will be releasing a bigger phone, a 4.7-inch phone in the fall, probably the fall, with a sapphire, perhaps sapphire or something tough cover. You know, not cover, but, you know, where the glass is. Yeah, it's Apple rumors. You know how they are. You know what I say about them. Take them with a grain of salt. This is harder to fake than others. I mean, you could say anything you want, but, you know, Apple's going to do a watch. There's no, you know, that's just saying stuff. But this is an actual physical piece that people have handled and tried to break and so forth. Big debate over the FCC. They have approved $2 billion to make schools and libraries go Wi-Fi. They're going to use the E-rate. You see that when you pay your phone bill, right? You get the E-rate. It's a tax that was originally created in 1996 to consumers of telecommunications services, and they put the money towards technologies like Wi-Fi in the classroom. A lot of debate over it. First of all, there's only $600 million in the account. So, and many of the, several of the FCC commissioners say they're just going to raise taxes. What do you think? 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mentioned before that many watches have sapphire crystals, and they are very hard to scratch. But this is the first time we've seen anything bigger than a watch-size crystal. And we do know that Apple bought a company that makes those sapphire crystals, and that Apple... so that's fact. You just got to separate fact from speculation. The fact is Apple bought a company. We've heard stories of the company's ramping up sapphire production, but remember, they use sapphire in the button, the home screen button for the touch screen. They use it on the camera lenses already. So sapphire is used already in the iPhone. And as I mentioned in many watches, those are all facts. The speculation is that that thing is is sapphire. One, we don't know. Two, that it's for an iPhone 6. And that's speculation. Now, I would hope that the people who have possession of this part would somehow test it to see if it's really made out of sapphire.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you didn't know there was a antique festival going on.
No. Didn't you see me come from the back? I was in the bathroom just...
Oh, you were primping. Well, you do look like a prom queen. It's because you have to look gorgeous for the television.
You'd think I'd look better since I was late, but no. So I got my watch battery replaced, and they set it to the right time.
How dare they?
5 minutes ahead, so I'm like,
oh, you're one of those people who sets their watch ahead to fool themselves.
To give myself a little heart attack, like, oh, you got to go out there and sit down. And I'm like, nope, I have time to make a latte.
So your excuse is your watch was accurate. That's your excuse. That's intriguing.
I don't like to say excuse.
No, your reason.
I just like to say
your reason. That's intriguing to me.
Wah.
No, besides you're not late. You're here.
I was here all along.
You are
just an
here.
Idiot.
You're not an idiot. How dare they set your watch to an accurate time? And by the way, it was worth it. You're gorgeous. So there.
Well, I forgot is the thing.
That's so funny.
H-bomb day. Every day is
I never understood that notion, and a lot of people do that, of setting your clock ahead. Don't you remember that you've done that? So you have to willfully kind of forget that you did that?
What do I want to say? It's like, hey, listen, you know, 5 minutes from now, it's going to be that time, and that is the time that you need to be there. So shake a move.
Shake a tail feather.
So it's not so much a trick as a, I don't know.
I don't know. It's intriguing to me because as somebody who's perennially late,
maybe you should try my system.
I'm interested in your system. But I think that I would not be fooled because I think I would look at it and say, oh, yeah, I have 5 more minutes.
You would, okay. Whereas I'm like, oh, 5 minutes from now, you better be there. So you better get, positioned on the ball, make sure your blouse is tucked in, whatever.
To me, I want to know, in fact, I'm kind of a stickler about having all my clocks set exactly right to the second. I usually have atomic clocks. This watch I like because it's always exactly right.
I am loving that thing.
You like it? You like the white band, don't you?
I kind of do.
It's very fashion forward.
Does it come with other bands? So
oh,
you
yeah.
can swap
And
it
it's
out
a standard
when fall
band,
comes?
so you can get any kind of band you want. It's a 22 millimeter
Okay, see,
band.
if I were them, what I would do is give you 3 bands when you buy it.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
You've got summer right there.
Summer,
In
winter,
the fall,
and
you'll
fall.
Throw on a nice little Burberry plaid.
And there are 2 faces, and I got the lighter, I don't know, it's not a face, but the lighter bez thing here. There's a black one, but I thought that would be nice. And I do kind of like this for summer.
Totally.
I feel like such a girl.
Do you feel girly?
No, who do I feel like? Somebody strange, not me.
You feel like the queen. You need to wave like this.
I feel like a hipster.
It's a little hipster doofusy, maybe, but it's not as bad as Google Glass.
But I plan to get an alligator band.
There you go. Do you feel like Dick Tracy?
Yes. You look like Carrie. You look like a prom queen. I hope nobody dumps a bucket of blood on you. She's looking up. But no, you look beautiful today. Thank you for dressing for the occasion. I dress down, you dress up. But I do have, and you like my stylish Android Wear watch, the LG watch, right? The white band.
Yes, I do.
I don't know
You've probably talked more about style on your show in the last year that I've been here than
Thank
the
you.
entire 10
It's
years
good.
before.
It's good. This is, I am fashion forward now. Thanks to you. So you think this white band is now this is I think this is true of this is what's interesting is Google has maintained much tighter control over these watches than previous Android devices. The Android phones are all over the map. These watches are pretty much the same hardware and software, and in fact they both take, I believe, standard bands, so you could put any watch band. You know, it's just that little pin thing, you pop it off and you put a different. So if you know, so I got the white band because I thought, well, it's summer. But after Labor Day, I'll change from white to crocodile or whatever it is people wear.
Ostrich. Whatever you
Ostrich.
want.
What's legal and what's illegal? I'm sure some of those are illegal. I want a chinchilla band. No, don't. I'm just joking.
Uh-oh.
Just joking.
People are
I
gonna
actually
send bands.
chinchilla. We were playing with some chinchillas the other day, and because Michael, who's 11, did a camp where there's wildlife, and they had little chinchillas. They're the sweetest thing. They're very soft, and it makes you very sad to think that somebody might take that and make a fur coat out of it. It's a beautiful little thing.
Or a vest.
They are soft, though. And a little rodent-like. So it's not, you know, they're not like baby seals. Those are cute.
Ugh.
I'm just getting in trouble here. Why don't I talk tech? That's safer. You have lined up some calls for me?
Yes. There's no religion in tech. Or is there?
Oh dear.
Because Ryan is about to ask you that exact question in a way.
Oh,
Ryan
dear.
in Cincinnati.
Hey, Ryan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Heather. Welcome, Ryan. How can I help you?
Hi, I had a question about an operating system. See, I have a PC right now, and I'm currently running Windows 8, but I don't really know if I like it. I wanted to know what you thought, if I should have Windows 7, Windows 8, or go back to XP.
I would not go back to XP at this point. That's really old. XP's 13 years old. Microsoft has taken it out of support, so you can't get updates for it, so definitely not XP. I wouldn't go farther back than 7. Vista was not so great either. So I would say the choice is Windows 8 versus Windows 7. You know, we just found out Microsoft is really in the middle of a kind of a change with their new CEO, Satya Nadella. He's kind of backing down on some of the things Steve Ballmer implemented. And I think part of this is that Windows 8 has been such a failure. Microsoft spent, it's hard to believe, but I just read this, $6.2 billion to market Windows 8. $6.2 billion to market Windows 8, and it still has a single-digit percentage of Windows users. So whether you like it or not, and we can argue about that, it is no doubt, without a doubt, a flop. That's a fact. Now, if you like it, I have nothing wrong with it. It certainly is superior to Windows 7 in some ways behind the scenes. They've improved many things. They build in now an antivirus. They build in anti-spyware. They have, I think, much better file copy routines. It's more secure in many ways. So I think if you can, it's the debate on Windows 8 is all user interface. Under the hood, there's no question. Windows 8 is better. It's newer. So the only debate, as far as I'm concerned, and I think most experts would agree, is, well, what do you think of this touch screen, these tiles, this modern interface? The thing that bothers me about Windows 8 is it's really two operating systems mushed together. It's a touch operating system suitable for a tablet with full screen apps and big icons and tiles, and it's swiping and swooping and all of that. That's one of them. And then the other is Windows 7, desktop, menu, except they took out the start menu, the thing that was the most important part of Windows 7. So it's a funny hybrid, and I think that's what really bothers people, and in some cases confuses them. There's two versions of Internet Explorer. There's we call it Metro for years, and then they got sued, and now they call it the Modern UI, but it's the Metro Explorer and the Desktop Explorer. Two different versions, and they on one of them the address bar is at the top. That's where you enter in a URL, and the other one the address bar is in the bottom. That's cuckoo. You know, if you're going to have two versions, make them work the same, but they don't. One has Flash, one doesn't. It's cuckoo. So that makes users cuckoo. But if you can live with it, I would get Windows 8. In other words, if it doesn't bother you, get Windows 8.
I like Windows 8. I think the UI is great for the apps, but I did feel that it was sort of for phones and tablets.
Part of it is, part of it isn't. Now, you can install third-party apps that will make Windows 8 look like Windows 7. And even Microsoft is kind of moving in that direction. Windows 8.1, the update changed some things, brought back the start button, and they're apparently going to bring back the start menu in the next version of Windows, the codenamed Threshold, which will be out about spring next year, summer next year. So Microsoft even is going to move back. But you can install Classic Shell or my favorite Start X from Object Desktop from Starduck folks. Start X, and then they have Metro Mix. Will turn even the Metro apps will become windowed, although I think they do that now in 8.1 anyway. You'll get a start menu back. Some of the things it's just a user interface. So just to recap, under the hood, 8 is better. From the user point of view, it's different and weird, and if you can get used to it, I would recommend it. If you can't, then Windows 7's okay. It's a few years old. It probably isn't a great idea to move back to Windows 7. So so you have Windows 8 right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm using Windows 8. I'm using Windows 8 even in emulation in the VMware on my Macintosh. For a while, I was using Windows 7. I've moved to Windows 8. It's the current version. Why not use it? Even though I disagree with Microsoft's decisions. And by the way, the guy who designed it was fired. We think fired. He disappeared. He's like Lenin. No one talks about him anymore. Who? Yeah. Stephen who? Sinofsky? Who's that? Did he work here? Yeah, he designed Windows 8. Oh, that guy. He's a venture capitalist now, by the way. So there's some, I think there's some widespread agreement that Windows 8 user interface is bad. Part of the reason Microsoft didn't sell very many copies is business. It's a different thing than you and me, Ryan, because we're end users. We can adjust. But in a business, if you have 10,000 seats, 10,000 employees, and they're all using Windows 7, it's unlikely you're going to get Windows 8 machines because you have to retrain them. And that is not an insignificant expense. Everything's different. So you have to train, the user interface is different. So you have to retrain them. And business just has, for the most part, ignored Windows 8. That's hurt the PC industry considerably. PC sales plummeted, including Microsoft's own PC, which is why we think Satya Nadella is kind of abandoning devices. 8888 Ask Leo, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sinofsky did not do Windows 7. He did the Office ribbon. Another fine user interface. Oh, wouldn't it be good to have ident in here? But if you if you switch to Hangouts, which I don't like as an SMS application, but I don't hate it. If you switch to Hangouts on this, then you can reply to text messages directly from the watch. You can read past text messages. Hangouts works a little bit better with the Android watch. Connect for Windows is a non-starter, I think. I also tried Leap Motion, where you go, and these are non-starters. This is like I was talking yesterday. The tech industry is trying to figure out what the next new thing is. It's not based on user desire or want or even the success of the technology. It's just throwing stuff on the wall. And just because somebody throws something on the wall doesn't mean you have to eat it. Who did Clippy? Bill Gates' wife. She was the product manager, Melinda Gates, before she married Bill, before she probably even was romantically linked with Bill. She was a product manager for Microsoft Bob. Which begat Clippy. Both are dead now. I'll have to check it. I have used Evolve SMS. And I have to look at the Android Wear. They list Android Wear apps, and it's a much smaller list than the actual list, so I have to dig deeper. Oh, Sanofsky and John DeVan also. All right. Well, I take it back, Webbs. I thought Sanofsky was on the Office team at that time. I shall ask Paul and Mary Jo. They were there. Thunderbolt hard drives ejecting when the MacBook Pro goes to sleep. No, I haven't, although that seems like that could be a bug. I have a Mac Pro with Thunderbolt 2 drives, and they do not eject. Have they removed Metro IE? Really? Oh, I'll have to go look at my... Was that an 8.1? That was an incredibly stupid move. Hello, Chris Marquardt. Episode 1100. Our show today brought to you by Prosper.com, the amazing peer-to-peer lending service. What is that? Well, Prosper is Silicon Valley's answers to the big bank loan. You don't have to put on a suit and tie and go in a bank and beg them, please give me a loan. Prosper could get you up to $35,000 in 72 hours by matching you with somebody who has money to lend. What would you do if you could get $35,000 in the next 3 days? Would you pay off high-rate credit cards? That would be a wise thing. Or start a business. Yes, smart. Build your own brick house studios. Here's what you do. You go to prosper.com/twit, and you fill out an easy online application. You provide a few details. It will not affect your credit score. That's nice. And you'll see your rate online instantly. Just that simple. Prosper offers low, fixed-rate, unsecured personal loans. You don't need any collateral. They have multi-year terms available. It's Silicon Valley's very clever answer to the big bank. They have more than 2 million members now, both lenders and borrowers alike. Over $1 billion in funded loan. This is a revolution. It's so cool. Prosper.com/twit. Check your rate instantly without affecting your credit score. And for a limited time, Prosper is offering Twit viewers a $50 Visa prepaid card when you get a loan. Go to prosper.com/twit. That's a special site just for you. Up to $35,000 in just 3 days and a $50 Visa prepaid card when you get a loan. Prosper.com/twit. Leo Laporte. The Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. 1 hour from now, Chris Marquardt, our home theater guy, will join us. Alex in Long Beach, you're next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hey, Leo. Okay, I'm going from a Pentium 3. Imagine that.
Wow.
I know. To a Pentium 3 XT to a Google Chromebook at Costco for $379.
Yeah.
So here's the question. The two guys that were standing, they know they're teched up. One guy goes, dude, get the regular laptop with the CD hard drive on it.
What is this guy? What is this guy? He was a visitor from 1998? What? Huh?
He had the red jacket on. But he said, dude, he said you can use that for Wi-Fi. You can connect anywhere. I go, dude, I don't have any internet at my house. And the other guy goes, get the Google one. If all you can do, everything is going Google anyway. This one is. You
got to understand the fundamental difference between a Chromebook and a regular computer. There is a fundamental difference. The hardware is very similar.
Yeah.
So that'll fool you. It looks like a laptop. It looks like a small, kind of plasticky laptop, but it looks like a laptop. The big difference is there's very little storage. I think 16 gigs on a Chromebook. There's Windows is not on a Chromebook. The only thing on a Chromebook is Google's Chrome OS. And if you want to understand Chrome OS, just imagine I'm on a Windows machine, but I can only use the Chrome browser, nothing else.
True. And this is the guy's argument that was going for the Chrome. He said, with that one, it acts like a phone. T-Mobile's going to give you 200 megabyte tiered free service for a lifetime of the book. If you have no internet service, you can upgrade if you have T-Mobile as a plan, which I do with my cell phone.
200 megabytes is not much a month, but yes, isn't that cool? That's free forever.
And 100 gigabytes or megabytes, I'm not sure, on their cloud or save stuff up on there.
Yeah.
So for $400, what do you think?
I think people who are looking at low-cost Windows PCs in that price range, the $200 to $400 price range, should get Chromebooks only because you can't get a good Windows machine at that price point.
He said you can't put Windows on that machine.
You cannot. You cannot. It is a Chromebook. Now, here's the advantage of Chromebooks. It's more secure. Much more secure. And if anything goes wrong with your Chromebook, suddenly it becomes a Is this a Chromebook? No, this is a laptop. That's a Chrome. Wow, this is the new HP Chromebook, which is indistinguishable from a laptop.
True, but for what I need, it's doable just for the kid to use.
That's the question: is what do I do with my computer? If what you do is do email, and particularly if you do Google email, Gmail, browse the web.
Browse the web.
All of that. Say again. Stream video.
If I upgrade the service plan with T-Mobile, I can stream directly to it, almost like a phone. With comparison, that regular HP won't do that. You have to connect to a Wi-Fi.
Remember, 200 megabytes is not a lot of money, not a lot of data.
But I can upgrade that.
Yeah, you can, and so, but if you're not online, it's limited to what you can do. You can. They have offline email, so you can, when you're online, download your email, then get on an airplane and go through it. They have offline. A lot of things can be done offline. All the Google Docs can be done offline. So you can still word process, you can still do spreadsheets. You just can't update them, and you can't save them until you get off the airplane and you're back in business online.
And it transmits the signal almost like a cell phone.
It does. It uses the T-Mobile data network. If T-Mobile's good in your neck of the woods, then that's a good choice. I think Chromebooks. I was at first very skeptical about Chromebooks. I thought, why would I buy basically laptop hardware and willingly say, well, I'm just going to run Chrome? But there are advantages. It's more secure. It's simpler. Now, it only makes sense if you're tied into Google services. You use Google Drive. You use your word processor as the Google word processor. Your spreadsheet's a Google spreadsheet.
That was the other question. It won't let me put on like a Word.
Well, you can open. Yeah, no, of course not. You can't run anything that isn't a Chrome extension. That's the software.
Yeah.
But Chrome, Google Drive understands Word documents. You can open them, work on them, and save them. So if somebody sends you a Word document in email, you can still work on it and still save it out as a Word document. You just can't use Word.
They have their own program that's similar.
They have their own, and you can try it right now. You know, you want to know what it's like to use a Chromebook, download Google Chrome onto your computer. And on a Pentium 3, it ain't going to be very fun, but this will be a lot faster than a Pentium 3. But you can download Chrome on your computer, look at the extensions, go to the extension library, look at all the things. They have video editing and photo editing. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. They have a lot of extensions that do a lot of things. They're very much like applications, but really it's best if you're just doing Docs, the Google Docs, and Gmail and surfing the web. But if that's what you're doing, it's great. If you use Google Music, and by the way, you can upload, while you have a regular computer, upload all your music to Google Music. I think they allow you to do 25,000 songs for free. Just upload all your songs, and then you buy music, Google Music. You can even use it, Google Music, which is an excellent, for $7.99 a month, an excellent music player. You can't use iTunes. You can't use Xbox Music. You can't use Rhapsody. You can use Pandora because Pandora has a plugin and it's a browser.
Since you talk about Google always being advertised based, now they're going to keep all the information what I log into. They're going to keep all the algorithms and everything as well, right?
Now this is something important to understand about what Google does. You're right. Google's business essentially is an ad business. They have side businesses now. They sell hardware, right? They sell phones, but essentially, the way Google makes money is by ads, and they make more money if they can target those ads. They originally did that by, when you searched for something, they'd show you a relevant ad in the search results, right? That's targeted based on your search. Then when they added Google Mail, they said, well, as we scan the mail, we scan it anyway for anti-spam purposes. If we see keywords, we will make sure those ads are more relevant. The idea being you're going to get ads, but they'll be more relevant. Now, I think the ads on Gmail are very tame. That you don't see them. They're hard to see. We're very adept nowadays at tuning out banner ads and ads like that, so I don't find them particularly intrusive. Google is not collecting information particularly on Alex in Long Beach. Yeah. It doesn't really care about Alex in Long Beach. It just wants to make so it's not like, it's hard for us to understand. We think of it as a human being reading our mail or a human being looking at our document. No, it's not. It's not like the NSA.
They're offering that offsite 100 megabytes or something.
Yeah, and you can buy more very cheaply.
Yeah, I mean, it's free for the life.
Yeah, and 100 megabytes, again, like 200 megabytes of data, 100 megabytes of storage is not a lot, but it's cheap to upgrade it. I think for a student, for somebody who doesn't want to learn the complexity of a computer but just wants to be able to do email and surfing, which is most people, a Chromebook is a very, very good choice.
Will they do Netflix?
I think it will now, yeah. It didn't for a while because Netflix was using Microsoft's proprietary Silverlight plugin for playback, but I believe it will now. Yes, it will.
Thank you very much, Leo.
You're welcome. I don't think there's anything wrong with Chromebooks. You just need to understand what the limitations are. You've seen the ads Microsoft did. Remember the Pawn Stars? They got those guys from that TV show, and somebody tried to, my mom gave me this Chromebook, and I'm trying to get some money for it. And they said, oh, we don't want that. It doesn't work when it's not on the internet, blah, blah, blah. That's a little bit of Microsoft self-serving disinformation. They want you to buy a full Windows PC, preferably one of theirs. But really, for a lot of people, the Chromebook is a very good choice. For instance, in security, it's much more secure. There are no viruses. If something gets corrupted, they have this thing called Power Wash. It's very simple. You just select Power Wash, boom, it resets everything. And because all your data is stored on the Google servers, you're back to go. I think the Chromebook is a very good choice. 200 megabytes of data. Don't get overexcited about that. That's a come on, a loss leader from T-Mobile. But hey, if you're getting a Chromebook and you have that and it's part of the deal, that's why you're paying a little bit more, by the way. You're adding that 4G capability to the Chromebook. If you never take it out of the house, if you only use it at home and you've got Wi-Fi, don't buy that. Because you pay more for that radio, the T-Mobile radio. Just get the Wi-Fi only version. You'll save $100. I am a fan of the Chromebook. I have changed my tune, I have to say, for certain people. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, you wouldn't want to watch Netflix over your cell phone. You got to use Wi-Fi. Who's reviewing that?
No, it's Amber's.
Oh, that's what she's using. How do you like that, Amber?
We're all trying to find the best value.
It's pretty awesome, huh?
And when I think about value, man, the first thing that comes to mind, DSL Extreme.
It's got good Hangouts. You have to start using Hangouts instead of Skype. I agree with you.
Well, everybody has.
Oh, by the way, Skype's coming.
Oh, really? She said that, and I said,
Huh?
no.
I believe Skype is coming to the Chromebook. Yeah.
Because people were complaining.
Yeah.
So this is the $380 one that was a refurb on Woot for $200.
Wow.
So
That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
So white.
And
it's a real laptop. I mean,
and she needs a laptop
for a student, it's excellent.
Santa Rosa Junior College.
Yeah, I think for a student, it's a really good choice.
Yay, Amber.
Mom.
For some reason, I think I saw that there is going to be Skype on the Chromebook. I may be wrong.
Your computer's famous now.
Yes, Amber has a famous computer.
She's so cute.
The new Microsoft strategy kind of inclines me to believe that they're going to put Skype on the Chromebook. For a long time, Microsoft didn't do anything for anything but Windows, right? They didn't want to. And then they shocked everybody by releasing Office for the iPad before they released a tablet Office for Windows. And it's pretty clear this is Nadella's plan, is to be on all platforms kind of equally. So I would fully expect a Skype at some point on Chromebook. And you can use Office 365. I forgot. You totally could use Office 365. I wouldn't do it, but no, I haven't seen the new one. But I've seen many Samsung commercials making fun of iPhone users. I think they're pretty funny. Yeah, I think Microsoft is going away from the PC platform. Office on the web is good. I use Office 365. I like it a lot. And you can use iCloud. That's right. So in a way, what's interesting, because all of these companies are moving towards the cloud, I might talk a little bit about that. The cloud. Ridley Scott's going to do The Martian. Oh, that will be so awesome. Oh. That has the potential to be 2001 Space Odyssey quality, I think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. To understand what the Chromebook means in the scheme of things, the scope of things, you have to kind of understand what's happening in computing. In the early days of computers, before personal computers, computers were big, expensive beasts that had to be housed in specially air-conditioned rooms with raised floors, and only a specially trained priesthood could address the computer using punch cards or terminals, and you had to apply for access. They were so expensive, they came up with a solution called time sharing, where they would slice the computer's capability up and let people buy little slices. And you could hook up a terminal, sometimes at a distance. People of my generation and Bill Gates' generation, that's our first experience of computers. Were Bill Gates' mom raised money, I think through a cake sale, to buy a terminal in the Lakeside School in Seattle. I remember in the private school I was going to in Providence, Rhode Island, Moses Brown, they had the same thing hooked up via phone lines to, in fact, you usually had to dial the phone and place the phone in an acoustic coupler to a big computer downtown owned by a big corporation. And they'd buy small slices of time and you could run little programs. That's how Bill Gates learned to program. If I'd only spent more time in that room with a terminal, maybe I'd be a little bit better off these days. Anyway, fast forward to the late 70s, 1977. The first small computer kits were developed and sold. People who'd used time-shared computers said, wow, I can have a computer on my desk. Wow, breakthrough. And we entered the personal computing era from 77 to now, where one desk, one CPU. Sometimes nowadays with one person and 8 CPUs or 12 CPUs. Very powerful systems, and they're all yours. They're not shared. You don't have to approach the priesthood with a stack of punch cards. You can do it all yourself. You don't have to have a specially air-conditioned room or a raised floor or any of that stuff. And the cost was a fraction of the cost of a big computer. But as computing has evolved, and by the way, the thing that made computing a success in the 80s and then in the 90s, and even into the 2000s, was the fact that Microsoft, primarily Microsoft, somewhat Apple, maybe Linux, but primarily like 95% Microsoft, provided a solid, reliable, consistent operating system, platform we call it, that people could write software for. So you would buy a computer, it would have Microsoft Windows on it. There would be hundreds of thousands of programs written to run on Windows that would run on your computer. You knew they would, for the most part. That kind of consistency was what made the personal computer revolution happen. It was a platform that others could build upon. And as with any platform, the more stable, more consistent it is, the better. You don't want holes in the floor. You don't want the platform to end abruptly. You want railings all the way around it, and you want the platform to be the same all the time so you know where you're walking. That's what Microsoft did, and that was the transformative thing that it did in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. We have a new platform. Things have changed, partly because of the way we use computers. We have more than one, for the most part, even if it's just a desktop and a smartphone, but often there's a desktop, smartphone, laptop, and even tablet. You want your data to be consistent across all four, right? You don't want to have something on one that's not on the others, that's not available, or you don't want to make changes on one and make changes on the other and now have an inconsistent status. So cloud computing started to take off. The idea that you would store your data on the internet and access it from all these different systems, very much like the early days of the big machines and the time-shared terminals. It's what we call a client-server setup. We kind of got used to that with the browser. That's what a browser is. The data is on a web server somewhere. The client is the browser, which accesses that data, gives us a window into it. And as we got more and more used to doing things like email and later word processing and spreadsheets in a browser, we got more and more used to the idea that our data lives in the cloud and we use clients, and maybe a variety of different kinds of clients with different screen sizes, different capabilities to access that data. We got more and more comfortable with that. Well, this is where Microsoft realized, oh my goodness, we're getting our platform pulled out from under us. It isn't about Windows or Mac or Linux anymore. It's about the cloud. Because in fact, if you have your data stored on Google Docs in the cloud, it doesn't matter if you're using Macs or PCs or Linux. It doesn't matter if you're using a smartphone or a desktop. The data's the same. The apps are the same. That's changed everything. And Microsoft has slowly come around to this realization, and now, in fact, it's starting to say under Satya Nadella, hey, maybe we're not a computer company. Maybe we're not a platform, a Windows company, rather. We are a platform company, but it's the cloud. And they're playing catch-up, by the way, just as they did with the internet, because Amazon and Google and many others got there before them. But they're doing a good job of playing catch-up. So when you look at a Chromebook, what you're really looking at is very much like those terminals, the old terminals that we had in our school closets that accessed a big computer. The biggest difference is the computing power is on our side now. What we're really accessing is our data only in the cloud on those big servers. And that's really improved things because we have so much CPU power on our end. We can do a lot of the heavy data work. We only have to transmit the data itself. We don't have to do so much work in the cloud. We don't have to time slice a single CPU somewhere else. We've got it all to ourselves. That's actually a good improvement. But the same problems, and often people who don't like the cloud bring this up, the same problems are present. If you can't get online, your data is kind of locked away somewhere else. You could store a local copy, but that's not really ideal because don't you want to have the same data on all platforms? This is the new platform. This is replacing Windows. It's going to replace Macintosh, Linux, and everything else. And that's Google knows that better than anybody. That's their business. They're in the cloud business. That Gmail was the first major cloud web app, and they are hugely successful. And they said, "Wow, this is..." So the Chromebook is their response to that. It doesn't matter. The operating system is irrelevant. You just need a browser with a window to all your stuff. And I think it actually works pretty well for people who don't need to have a bunch of data locally. If you're editing video, you need data locally. If you're editing photographs, you need data locally. Anyway, that's my kind of sermon on what is going on, because it is a big change. And you need to understand that. To understand, you have to get out of the mindset of, well, do I buy a Windows PC or a Mac? That's really not the question anymore, because you're accessing your data in the cloud. It doesn't matter anymore. Don in Cranston, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Don.
Hi, Leo. Welcome home.
Yeah, my mom and sister both live in Cranston now. I grew up in Providence, just down the road.
That's right. That's right. Well, I got a question for you.
By the way, do you remember a radio personality on WPRO, where this show is, by the way, now, named Leo Laporte?
No.
He was very famous when I was a kid. No relation. But his son wrote to me and he said, "It's so nice to see another Leo Laporte on WPRO in Providence." And I was so grateful that his son wrote to me and said that.
No, must be before my time.
It is, well, it's a long time ago.
I remember Salty Brian.
Salty Brian, yeah, loved him, grew up with him.
Absolutely.
So what can I do for you?
Okay, well, on Tuesday, after 10 years, my LG LCD TV died.
Oh.
Moment of silence.
Oh.
And so I went out and I got the brand new 2014 Vizio. I got the E-Series.
Okay, that's their economy series.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that. I mean, it's beautiful most of the time, but certain programming, and I'm talking about high-def programming.
You sure it's high-def?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is actually it's a 1080 TV. And the
TV's high-def, but
no, the signal, yes.
One thing that will happen when you get a good HD TV is the SD signals. I Love Lucy and the Honeymooners look terrible because you're suddenly seeing them as they really are. Hey, we got to take a break. Hang on. Back from local news, we'll talk some more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Tim, that's a complete. Tim Foiler says, "I will not use an OS that doesn't allow me to store locally. I dislike having my information, not having my information with me and under my control." I understand that, and I agree. I think that makes sense. But do you use Gmail? This is where Google. I don't know if this was a strategy. I think it was not. I think what happened is Google released Gmail. It was somebody's 20% program. I can't remember. It was a controversial initiative, even at Google. They released it, and I think it opened their eyes to the idea that, you know what? People can live with having everything in the cloud. Really, I Love Lucy and the Honeymooners are now out on Blu-ray. Now, unless they took the original film and rescanned it, there's no point. Star Trek...
TNG,
they had to redo. The original Star Trek, obviously, that was in SD, but it was on film, so they rescanned it, and they replaced all the CGI with modern HD CGI. So I'm told the Blu-ray of the original series is incredible.
Oh, and the remade TNGs.
And the TNGs, too.
Yeah, but they had to
brilliant idea. Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. But I wonder what they're doing with the Honeymooners. They rescanned the originals. See, now that, no, the original was not 4K, but it was certainly better than 480i. Wow. You can compile source code in the cloud. Absolutely. In fact, it probably, in many cases, will compile faster in the cloud. Certainly, theoretically, compile a lot faster. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theaters, and all that jazz. Digital photography coming up at 33 1/3 after the hour with our friend Chris Marquardt, who is in Germany, and I don't know if he's really, I don't think he's going to be paying close attention as he talks. I guess there's a game going on of some kind. You know, some of us used to keep track of the World Cup by watching Twitter. There was a Twitter account called Replay Last Goal, at Replay Last Goal. Pretty cool. It was automatic. Whenever there was a goal, it would create a video clip or even an animated GIF of the goal, and so you could click the link and boom, watch it. FIFA said no. Sent a letter to Twitter saying take it down, and Twitter has. Twitter has. And I think this is kind of unconscionable. I understand that FIFA has sold television rights. It says we own the rights, and they sent a takedown notice to Twitter, and Twitter agreed to do it. But my goodness, does that really take... I mean, are you going to... If you have access to a television, you're going to watch the game. You're not going to say, oh, no, I'm just going to watch Replay Last Goal on Twitter. It's not taking away from their business in the least. In fact, I would say it probably supports their business. Now, then probably they have a legal right to do it. I'm not asserting that they don't. It's copyrighted material, and I guess they can say, hey, you're putting our copyrighted material on Twitter. You can't do it. But I think it's short-sighted of them. I think this kind of stuff promotes it. Remember last World Cup? They tried to keep people from taking pictures and Instagramming them at the game. They tried to keep people from tweeting at the game. I think one of these days, these organizations, and FIFA probably not the most forward-looking organization in the world, the organization that runs world soccer, but one of these days they're going to realize this stuff's good for you. Why else do Hollywood movie stars pay people thousands and thousands of dollars a month to tweet for them, to post on Instagram? This is good for them. It's called publicity. All right, we were talking to Don in Cranston. Poor guy. He replaced his 10-year-old TV, put it out of its misery, put it down, sent it to the TV graveyard in the sky, replaced it with the Vizio E series, and he says some of the content doesn't look so good. Is there anything, Don, you can identify particularly about the content that doesn't look good?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I've done some calibration and trying to dial it back. I could be watching a show.
Just tell me what the content is that doesn't look good.
Well, I could describe the problem. It looks like, and again, it's HD content, but it looks like, you know when you're in a room full of smokers and there's that white haze kind of over everything? It has that sort of washed-out haze look. But then it'll go to...
And what are you watching a cable? Are you watching satellite? Are you watching an antenna?
Fios.
You're watching Verizon Fios.
Yes.
And it is what is it? Is it a broadcast channel?
It depends. It's not just one particular channel. This could happen. It even happens when I'm watching something from my computer, a movie on my computer, or if I'm watching you right now on Roku. Okay. And it looks fine. But then I'll switch to another channel, and it might, or another program.
And it gets hazy.
Yeah. So my real question is, this is a 60 hertz TV. The M series is a 120.
No, that doesn't improve anything.
Nothing?
So let me explain what that is. We talked about it a little bit yesterday as well. It's, the television companies are desperately trying to get you to buy a new TV. So they add features all the time. 3D, they added, and then nobody bought it. So whoops. This is a feature designed to make sports and action movies look better. The problem is that all television is 60 fields per second. All television. It's not 120. It's not 240. You're not getting content with that kind of frame rate. What it does is it interpolates. It fakes the extra frames. That gives it a crisper picture, but it's a weirdly crisp because it's not more information. So high frame rate is a good thing. In fact, this is the movie industry is moving towards 48 frames per second and others high frame rate systems. That will be good because there's more data. But this isn't more data. This is interpolated or made up data based on the previous frame. So what it ends up looking is a little plasticky, maybe like a little video-y. It's not related to the haze you're seeing. I'm not sure what the haze is. You're using HDMI for all your connections?
Yes. And I'm just thinking, because I tend to like things a little sharper, a little darker. And I remember when Scott Wilkinson calibrated your TV, and at first you weren't... 100%.
He always makes it darker, that's right. Because TVs, two things happen. First of all, when they're in the showroom, all televisions have a showroom mode, sometimes called dynamic. There's a variety of words they use to describe it. It's overly bright, overly saturated, because it looks better in a brightly lit television store. But you never want to use that mode. And most of the time it comes to your house set up that way. So you put it in movie mode. That will immediately darken it. It will desaturate the colors. They won't pop as much. And at first you go, whoa, I like that really bright candy color. Yeah, you might, but it's not natural. It's not real. So that's the first thing to do is make sure you're in movie mode. And a calibrator will come in and then do it in more refined detail using actual screen measurement things and so forth. And that's what Scott did for me. Although he said, and this was a very expensive television, he said it was actually almost exactly right as it came.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is money well spent getting it calibrated?
I think there's something wrong with it. You shouldn't. I'm not sure what this. I'm still trying to get this haze, and you can't. There's no consistency in the kind of content you get this with.
No, and I don't want to overemphasize haze. It's almost like washed out.
It's washed out. So it's not. It's less contrasty, perhaps.
Yeah.
Would that be a way to describe it? Less contrast.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the chat room. Someone said, "Oh, maybe the brightness is too high." I've done various, combinations.
Here's one thing that would happen. If you did bring in a professional calibrator, and it would cost several $100, he would, if it's messed up, if it's broken, he'll tell you immediately, oh, no, there's something wrong with the TV. If it's, the thing that bothers me is it's happening at random times. If everything were washed out, then I would say we'll turn up the contrast.
Sure.
But it's happening at random times. That's why I'm trying to figure out if it's any specific content that's happening to. It doesn't sound like it is.
No.
Well, you're in movie mode, right?
Well, I put it in standard.
Standard's okay. Movie's better.
Put it in movie mode.
Put it in movie mode. See if that fixes it. Is it a particular channel? No. It's just, it could be. So the Roku sometimes looks that way.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe there's something wrong with the TV. It sounds to me like the backlight is screwed up. Okay. And so it may, in fact, be something that the TV's actually broken.
Okay.
You shouldn't get inconsistent results. I mean, that's the whole point of calibration is once you calibrate, it should be that way on every single thing you watch. It shouldn't suddenly be lower contrast randomly. That's, to me, a backlight issue. There's something wrong with the backlight.
Okay.
So I would, I don't know, where'd you buy it, from a real store or?
Yeah, Target. And they have a 90-day return.
Yeah, I'd say, I bring it back and say, Target, the contrast there's something wrong. Just tell them, sound authoritative. No, the backlight's screwed up and it's coming off and on. I need a new one. And they'll just replace it. If you see the same hazy thing, then maybe a calibration's in order. But it sounds to me like there's actually something wrong with the TV.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
All righty. Take care. Appreciate it. Shouldn't, the whole idea is you set it and forget it. It should be consistent. If you put it in movie mode, it should be in movie mode on every channel. It should look the same on every channel. And I don't think the Vizios are fine. What? Is it Vizio? Okay. Because I have Burke says they sell these TVs at Target that are. Oh yeah, the Target TCs. Yeah, Target has its own house brand. I don't know if it's not Insignia. I can't remember what it is. What is it? ProScan. We don't recommend those. Now I have to say we bought a lot of TCL TVs. They're very, very, very cheap TVs made in China. This is a brand that's trying to come on strong. We like them but we don't have. We're using them as monitors around the studio. We don't really care. When you're watching a movie, you want it to look good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, look, my Harry's box came. Hoo-hoo, Harry's. Harry's makes you not hairy. A great shave at a fraction of the price. Did you sniff the
I did.
Do you like it?
Oh, it's so good.
The
If every
Harry's-
guy smelled like that, I'd be in so much
Oh,
trouble.
boy, there you go. There's an unsolicited testimonial from Heather, the phone lady. Harry's is a great shave at a fraction of the price. You probably noticed this. I think Harry's should have a Harriet's model for the ladies. And there's no reason why you couldn't use Harry's. But it'd be nice to, have a pink handle or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But you'd get the Harry's shave cream, and that is kind of the secret of the whole thing. So what Harry's realized, Harry's was started because they realized, man, these razor blades are ridiculous. In fact, it's not even, it used to be the old saying was they'll give away the razor but get you in the blade. They don't give away the razor either. That's overpriced too. And then the blades are so expensive now in the drugstore, that Gillette Fusion, what is it, $4 a blade? They have to lock it up so that you don't shoplift your razor blades. Harry said there's got to be a better way, and they've created it at Harry's, HARRYS.com. Now, this is the starter kit from Harry's. This is the Winston, and you can get this beautiful razor, beautiful metal handle. You can get it engraved with your name, perfect for Father's Day gift. And then they have their beautiful multi-blade razors. I think they're 5 blade razors with the strip. Just very much like the Fusion. But Harry's gets these custom made in Germany in their own factory, so they're really nice. And then they formulated the best shave cream I've ever used. And if you've ever heard Steve Gibson rhapsodize about his Harry shave, he just loves it. So I looked in the back, and I told Heather what was in this, and you approved it.
Yeah.
It's marula and coconut oil. What is that, some sort of weird nut?
I thought I had smelled marula in a product before and loved it.
Yeah, it has it's kind of a mentally, it's just a wonderful
It's not
smell.
overpowering, and
No.
it's not spicy or even overly masculine. Like, I could see myself maybe using it. It's subtle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think the marula is something my father really loved, and we were able to get this stuff, and then the store discontinued it. So I am getting
this for
his
Dad.
birthday.
Father's Day is over,
Well,
right?
whatever. My dad's birthday's in 2 weeks.
But birthdays, I love this. I showed you this the other day. This is so cool. They have the dad's kit. If you go to harrys.com, you can see there's the Truman, the Winston. That's what I was just showing you. You can get the Winston engraved. You can also get a father and son shave kit, which is great. Kid could give it to Dad because it has a special, kid's razor, no blades, obviously. That your little boy or a little girl, really, I shouldn't be sexist, can play with Dad and have some fun during shave time. It's so sweet.
Adorable.
It's so adorable. Harrys.com. Andy and Jeff, the guys who created Harry's, knew there'd be a better way. A great shaving experience for a fraction of the price of other razor blades. They have a beautiful product design and plans to make sure that you always have the right blades for you. Are you an everyday shaver, occasional shaver? I'm an everyday kind of guy. 8 blades, 2 creams every 2 months. Good deal. You just get this, you subscribe, and it's going to be delivered to your door. And make sure you get the Winston or the kit engraved or the Truman kit to start yourself off. HARRYS.com. Use the offer code TECHGUY and you'll get $5 off your first purchase. TECHGUY to get $5 off your first purchase. Get the cream and the blades. They go together hand in hand from harrys.com. And you heard it here. The gals just love it. It's time for cheddar cheese soup. Wow. Give me some chips. I got nachos.
It said stuffed baked potato.
Huh?
Stuffed baked potato.
Stuffed baked potato and cheddar cheese soup.
Yeah.
Yummers.
And Amber was being very good to you by not filling it up all the way.
Yeah. Because you put that in your veins,
And it stayed.
we're going to clog.
Wow.
We are going to clog. The veins are going, no, Leo.
That is
That's
a
another
winter
4 hours on the treadmill, Leo. No, Leo. Quick, get the wafer in. Ugh. Ugh.
You have a bit of a sweet tooth, right?
Dr. Mom says, it's good for you, full of nice, healthy carbs and fat.
Gotta have a little.
I actually ate very well yesterday. I was proud of myself. We're going to eat more fish because we had so much fish in Hawaii, and we realized we felt much better eating all that luscious, fresh fish. So Lisa's going to get some mahi-mahi tonight. You know, I love those, the Ono. I don't know if you can get Ono here.
No, I love Ono.
But Ono's so good.
Oh, no.
Ono in Hawaiian is the word for tasty. Did you know that? It's tasty.
I like that.
It's a tasty
like,
fish.
Oh, no, that's so good.
Oh, no.
Yes, I'll have some more.
Oh, no, that fish is good. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I know, the fish is full of mercury. They have a sign out on the Berkeley Pier that says, these fish are okay. They don't have so much mercury. Don't eat these fish. They got a lot of mercury. That's encouraging.
I live near a creek, and it says something like, don't eat this fish more than once a week.
Yeah, you know, or if you're pregnant or if you're a child, you shouldn't be eating this fish. I think maybe they should say no one should eat this fish if that's the case.
Your body's pretty good at spitting things out.
Not
that
mercury. It
doesn't
gets
need.
right in the joints and it stays there. It's cumulative. Yeah, heavy metals kind of tend to pile up. Oh, ow, that hurt. Oh, that did hurt. Oh. That's gotta hurt. So the bigger fishes have more mercury, I guess, because they're older and they've been eating smaller fishes. So if you eat your anchovies, your sardines, those are fine because they're smaller. You want to eat lower on the food chain.
You want the veal of fish.
Always. Yeah. Always. Well, to this morning, I had lovely kippers. I had kippers and eggs for breakfast.
Really?
Yes. The reason we don't do much fish because it makes the house smell fishy. Lisa says, that's okay. I said, well, we can grill it. Yeah, the higher on the food chain, the less healthy in every respect. So eat the little minnows. You don't clean baby fish, you just eat the whole thing.
Yep.
Fry them up, smelts.
Bones
Love
and all.
smelts,
Good
bones and all.
calcium.
Yeah, they eat a lot of creamed fish in Sweden. They eat a lot of fish in Scandinavia in general. A little more than I care to eat. Lutefisk. When we were in Norway, we were in the bacala capital of the world. The dried codfish industry. And they call it klippfisk because it's dried on the cliffs. They put it out on the cliffs, and then it rains. They gather it up, wait till the rain goes, and they put it out on the cliff again.
Is it horrible?
No, you've had it. It's dried codfish. You've had,
On what?
Comes in a box with salt. It's salted codfish.
Like fish sticks?
No. Maybe you haven't had it. We ate it a lot in Rhode Island. It's what they make codfish cakes out of. Bacala. You've had bacala? No?
I don't think so. It just
Well, you're missing out on one of the world's great foods.
It's a delicacy. It just sounds like it wouldn't even be good in a small amount sprinkled on a pizza or something like that.
No.
Like it would ruin the pizza.
Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Mark in Los Angeles, 8888 Ask Leo's the number. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Leo. I've got a question about my computer that's running XP. Last week, I went to shut it down, and it said downloading an update. And my understanding is that there are no updates. So my concern is, has my computer been hacked, and now it's telling me that Microsoft has found an update that I shouldn't install?
That's a good question. There was an update. Microsoft broke its word. The last update was supposed to be was it April? Second Tuesday in April. And then there was another update about a month later of Internet Explorer. There was a serious flaw in that.
About the same thing then, and then I Googled it, and I found out that it was an update for Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Now, I've Googled this one that just happened the other day, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, that's a little suspicious. Either that Explorer update didn't get applied, and it's still trying to do the update, or it could be somebody's posing as Microsoft. I mean, if I were a bad guy, I would certainly, here's how they do it, by the way. They look for security flaws on websites. It doesn't have to be that they own the website. All they have to do is look for websites that have older software or security flaws. It's very common, unfortunately. It's really easy to do. And what they do is they find those sites and they embed malicious code on those sites. So you're going to a site, completely legitimate site, and you get a pop-up on that site that looks like a completely legitimate pop-up from Microsoft saying, we've got an update. So the first thing to do is make sure your browsers are closed when you see that, and make sure it's not coming from your browser, because if it is, then it is malicious.
No, it's not coming from a browser. I clicked on the install.
Yeah.
And it says do it automatically, just install it, or do it manually. So I clicked on manually, and then it tells me what the update is. So I just found this while I was on hold with you.
Yeah.
It says Windows Malicious Software Removal Tool, July 2014.
Yeah. Microsoft may be continuing to update that. I hope they are. They have said, they've gone back and forth. They said, we're not going to update Security Essentials for XP, but we are going to update the definitions, for instance, which is it's the right thing to do. The malicious software removal tool is something Microsoft puts on all Windows machines silently, without your permission, without your knowledge. They update it every month silently, without your permission, and run a quick scan. It's a good thing. It's not an antivirus exactly. It looks for known malicious software. If it finds it, it will remove it. Just as it says, it's the malicious software removal tool. You can see if you've got it by going to the command prompt, start, run, and typing MRT. That'll launch it. And there's no icon for it in the menu. You just have to do it by hand. But that may be updated. Chat room, do you know if Microsoft is continuing to update the malicious software removal tool? It seems like that would be something they would do. It's just like updating the antivirus definitions in Security Essentials. It's not an update for the program itself, merely for the definitions. So I think that's probably okay, but I am nervous because that's exactly what a bad guy would do. So you closed all the browsers.
Right.
Here's what I would do. I would say don't accept the update, but do run MRT. So start, run, MRT, and you'll see a window. Now, it's a normal Windows app. And update from there and see if there's an update there. And if there is, then it's legit because you're doing it from Microsoft's own program. I suspect they are continuing to update that on XP. They update it on every other version of Windows. And given that they've said we're going to continue to update the antivirus, I would guess they'd continue to update MRT as well.
Okay.
So I think it's probably okay. Let me see. Microsoft's malicious, this is the chat room. Webbs, thank you. Microsoft's malicious, this is a quote. Malicious software removal tool is aligned with the company's anti-malware engines and signatures. As such, the removal tool will continue to be provided for Windows XP through July 14th, 2015. So it is updating that, and it will continue to update that for another year. So chat room, you did it again. The answer is it's okay. I would still always be careful when you see a pop-up saying, hey, would you like to download and run this program? Because that's how bad guys get on your system. And as I mentioned, they're adept at phony, Microsoft Windows and all of that stuff. It's not hard to do. So always be, as you are, good. Suspicious, Mark. That was the right thing to do. You have not been hacked, though. They are keeping that up to date. That's the only security update. That and Microsoft Security Essentials, their antivirus program. Now, third-party antivirus programs will be kept up to date. It's just Microsoft's. And really what they're saying is we're not going to do any exploit patches. You can, I believe, I've come around a little bit on this. My friend Steve Gibson, our security guy, says, no, XP's safe. It's fine. I'm not sure I agree with him on that. But his point is, because it's been out for so long and it's been patched and fixed, it's probably at this point very reliable, very robust. It's unlikely to have any major flaws, which you can't say for anything newer because it just hasn't been banged on as much. And he says if you do the right things, you can use XP safely. And I agree with this. If you run XP in limited user mode, not in administrator mode, that's a big improvement. That eliminates 80 or 90% of all malware exploits right there. This is true of all versions of Windows. In fact, all operating systems do not run as administrator, do not run as root. Run as a limited user or a standard user, and that way the malware won't have the ability to install itself. That's huge. Don't use Internet Explorer, especially on XP. It's not up to date. You can't use the latest version of IE. Use Chrome or Firefox. Those are kept up to date and are reliable. And then again, the key is with all computers, don't install software from unknown sources, and don't be fooled by unknown sources pretending to be a known source. That's how you get malware in your system, is running an installer. That's how you get it. So you were right, Mark, to say, well, I don't know if I want to install this. In this case, I think it's okay. But you were absolutely right to be a little bit suspicious. as we all should be. Safe computing is possible on all operating systems if you are careful. And anti-malware software, it helps, but it isn't the end all and be all. If you install an antivirus, say, well, now I can do anything I want because I'm safe, you're wrong. It's really up to you. It's knowing what to do. It's not installing software from strangers, not clicking links in email and just jumping to those web pages without being very cautious. You can get phished that way so easily. It's, don't take software even from people you know. Be very skeptical. Don't run as an administrative user. All of these things, in some ways, make it possible not to run anti-malware software because you're just being very cautious and doing the right thing. It's nice to have anti-malware software just in case you slip. Nobody's perfect, but I think it is possible, and I think many security experts believe this as well, to run any operating system safely if you're careful, if you know what you're doing. 8888 Ask Leo, the number. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Oh, Chris Marquardt, a photo guy, coming up right after this. I don't think Chris will be paying attention, however.
Yeah, how excited will he be?
Okay, so you can't tweet that there was a goal. Can I shout goal?
Yes.
I think I can. Can I? But I bet I might get in trouble if I said, and then Jimenez kicks it to Neymar, who kicks it in, and I couldn't give you a play-by-play reconstruction. Oh, yellow card. Lavezzi says, no, Bastian Schweinsteiger, he's got a yellow card. It's the first yellow card of the game. See, I probably could get arrested for that. Go ahead, take me away, copyright police. Me and my beautiful white watch. Huh? What?
Chris is saying hi.
Hello, Chris Steinschwager.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm not paying much attention to you tonight.
I thought you might be busy. I'm surprised you're even on. Uh-oh, penalty kick.
Didn't you say last time?
I'm a World Cup watcher. I just watched the World Cup and just a few games, and that's about it.
Me too. I love the World Cup. I watch
He's a
soccer.
fair weather
it's very
fan.
cool.
But I'm going to start watching English League soccer.
I have my little iPhone hanging here off the screen, so I can glance over.
I'll shout.
Talk.
If anything happens, I'll shout. Goal!
Leo, quick one. I want to do an assignment review today, and I want to briefly bring up that video that I sent you earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The world's highest drone video. And my friend John Miller did that.
Oh, offsides! That wasn't an Argentina goal. It was offsides. Oh, no goal. Yes, I have John Miller's beautiful drone video.
So I will not be here next week, but if you want, I could ask John if you want to talk to him about filming high altitude drone videos.
Yes.
Would you like to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I will get him in contact with whom?
Have him send an email to me and CC. Who should he CC? John? John and Burke. John at twit.tv and BURKE at twit.tv.
All right, I will do this. I think he will be thrilled to be able to talk about this. This is so outstanding. This is so amazing what he did there.
But actually, instead of doing the assignment review and talking about this, could you explain the offsides rule in soccer?
No. No, seriously not. Seriously not. That's how much of a noob I am when it comes to football.
Wait a minute. Offsides, that was a goal. What is going on? Oh, no.
I think I can tell. I think I know if I see one, but I'm usually not able to.
I figured it out. It took me a while, but I finally figured it out.
Yeah. So how's the soccer mania in the U.S. now that the U.S. team is out? It's kind of died down, right?
Oh yeah, nobody cares.
Has it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's who I'm rooting for in this World Cup. U.S.
Still.
Team USA. Well, now I hate to say it, but I'm kind of hoping Argentina wins. I just want a South American World Cup.
You know what? I have a good friend in Argentina, so I'm rooting for both.
Argentina's full of Germans. That's where all the Nazis went.
Yeah, I'm very torn, but not because of that. The friend I have is an Argentinian, not a German.
Actually, there are a lot of Germans, but there are also a lot of Italians in Argentina. I was surprised to see.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
Best Italian food outside Italy, and wine. The Argentinian wine, very influenced by Italians. I was in Buenos Aires.
I have to go there one day. I definitely want to go.
Buenos Aires is great. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I'm very distracted today. So.
Chris joins us every week to talk about digital photography from Tübingen, Germany. And I understand...
Hanover, actually, now.
Hanover. Oh, you've moved to Hanover.
Hanover.
All right.
Yes, I did.
And I know that Germany's playing some big game today.
Yeah, I have a little screen sitting right next to the camera, so I can briefly glance over every now and then.
In the U.S., when I was a kid, we'd all bring our transistor radios with earbuds during the World Series. That was the time that we would all be consumed.
Yeah, nowadays it's the iPhone.
Now it's the iPhone, right? Exactly. So I'm on Flickr. I see some wonderful submissions. Shall we review our...
there's an image review. I wanted to briefly point you to a tiny little video that a very good friend of mine, John Miller, released, which is the Aerials project. And he took a drone, like one of those video helicopters up to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
As a quadcopter up to Mount Everest base camp when we did the Everest trek, and he shot the world's highest aerial footage up there, or the world's highest drone footage. And he just released the video. Just literally yesterday, he released that, and it's such an amazing footage.
We're seeing so much drone video now from these quadcopters. Drone isn't really right. These are not drones. They're quadcopters.
Yeah, drone has kind of a negative connotation.
Well, drones usually are considered autonomous. These are, of course, flown by... I guess a drone could be flown by somebody, but John's flying the quadcopter.
He's flying that. He has a little video screen.
What makes these awesome is they're so stable. So you get just this beautiful video from a height. Amazing. It's gorgeous, yeah.
And then if you do this in a landscape like this, I mean, this is
amazing.
I've watched this 10 times by now.
Did he have to use a special camera to do this? Because he is at 25,000 feet.
It's a Sony Nex 5, actually. It's not that huge a camera, and the drone carries that in a little gimbal head that kind of equalizes the motion and everything. And you should talk to him about this. He's going to join us next week. We will. I'll skip next week, and I'll talk to him, and I hope he can make it. Yes.
It's stunning footage. Of course, that NEX has HD capability. You know, yesterday somebody called in the show and wanted to buy a camcorder. I said, don't buy a camcorder. He had a Canon EOS Rebel, but it was the first version that didn't have video. I said, upgrade your Rebel or use a point and shoot. The video is so good these days. Even your camera phone video is so good.
I would use that in a pinch. Absolutely.
All right, so if you search for John, let's see, it's the Everest trek, or I'm sorry, the Rest of Everest. So if you search for John's Rest of Everest channel on YouTube, you'll see this flying a drone at Everest, Himalayan aerials, amazing cinematography, just gorgeous. But we have some amazing photographs from our wonderful audience. Each month, Chris gives us an assignment, a word or phrase that we have to illustrate with our cameras. And Chris came up with a phrase, cornered.
Yes, the cornered assignment is in, and I've again chosen 3 pictures that we want to take a quick look at. The first one is by Lars791, and its title is Cornered, and it's just a beautiful, simple still life of a chessboard with, I guess...
the queen is checkmating the king.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So,
yeah.
It's cornered, and I just like it because it has some depth to it. The focus is where it needs to be. The textures are beautiful. The colors, kind of warmish colors in front of a bluish, coolish wall, rocky wall.
It's beautiful.
So just one of those, beautiful still life.
And I'm a chess player. I love chess, so he got my attention on this one. Nice job. Lars791.
The second one is by Doodle Buglu, and it's called "He's Got Me Cornered," and that's a picture that to me just does something to me. There's some emotion going on, and that's not because I love dogs. It shows a dog that's coming at you
from a corner.
Because it really it tells you a story. It kind of makes you feel like the dog cornered you, because you have this wall in the back, you have the motion in the picture, so he's clearly coming at you, and probably the nicest puppy in the world, but he looks kind of a bit dangerous on this picture, and he's coming at you and pushing you into the corner. So there's emotion here, and emotion is good in a picture.
And finally, from Randy Vias.
Randy Vias is, well, it's probably a composite of some sort.
Maybe, although this could be a model. I don't know.
Or a model of
a giant kid.
Yeah, it's a giant kid looking down on someone in the street between some skyscrapers and their traffic lights, and it's this darling, I shrunk the kids kind of thing, you know, that feeling that this giant kid is looking down at you, and it's got you cornered. And
is it okay to do just composites in our competition?
I think so. They're photos after all, so a little bit of compositing is...
That's a raging debate in the photographic community.
Yeah,
how much you can modify your pictures, right?
You know, we're doing art here. We're not doing photojournalism, so I think it's perfectly fine to do that.
Well, thank you all three for your submissions. Really nice to have all of those photographs. You can go see them all. We'll put a link at the show notes at techguylabs.com, but there's also a full set on Flickr. That's where we upload them, flickr.com. Look at the Tech Guy group and for the tag Cornered. Now it's time.
And there's a new assignment.
Yeah, it's time for you to give us a new one.
And I thought long about this, but then it's like, okay, we got to have some word that might have a double meaning of some sort. So this is now, the newest assignment is goal.
Goal! Oh, sorry. Goal.
No, you can't do this on.
Goal. It doesn't have to be a football goal.
Doesn't have to do with foosball or anything like that. No.
Goal! All right. I think that should be a lot of fun. Goal. Now, you have about a month, so this is how it works. You take that picture. You can upload one a week to our Tech Guy group. It's free to join Flickr if you're not already a member, and the group is free. You do have to join the group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you. And then when you upload your picture, make sure you put the word goal in the tag so that we know that that's a submission for goal. And Renee will say, hey, thank you. And then we'll look at all of, Chris will look at all the submissions in about a month and pick 3 that he likes. You know, I was staying in a Hollywood hotel on Thursday night, and they had a very famous picture of Marilyn Monroe on the wall. And Lisa and I were looking at it. And speaking of telling a story, it's Marilyn, you've all seen it, getting out of a car. She's glowing. She's fabulous. But it's not just her. The picture is cropped in such a way that you also see the guy who's opening the door for her. You see him kind of looking down at her. And we both noticed that it was kind of an unusual crop, that you didn't just zoom in on the movie star, but you included more. And to me, it was an example of telling a story. You have more going on because you're seeing the person seeing Marilyn Monroe, opening the door for her. In your mind, there's a story happening in that picture that makes it much more interesting than if we were just looking at Marilyn.
That often happens when you have some interaction between 2 things in a picture. And if you have some context around what you're looking at, if you have a subject and then you get some idea where that's happening, and then maybe another person or another thing that that person is interacting with, there are always stories in these kind of little
Sometimes
things.
You can overcrop. You can eliminate. Cropping's great, or zooming in is great because you can tell the viewer what to look at. But you might be eliminating details that add to the richness of the image as well.
I love if you leave space. If you leave space for a subject, space is important. Look at a page in a book. There's space around the words. And that's not just because you need a handle to hold it. No, it gives the content some space to sit in, some space to breathe. It's not squeezed. It's not cornered. It's not squeezed into a corner.
For so long, the advice we gave to new photographers was get in closer than you think. You know, you see a snapshot. That's one of the things of a snapshot that you always recognize is that there's a group of 4 people in front of the Eiffel Tower, and the photographer's 20 feet back, and you always want to say get in closer. But sometimes you don't want to get in too close. All rules are made to be broken. Chris Marquardt, discoverlightroom.com. He has some great workshops too, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let me see if I can find that Marilyn photo. And I've just sent you the link to all of the pictures for our show notes. So I'll let you go back to your game. Nothing happened, fortunately, which the nice thing about the World Cup is generally nothing does happen.
Quelle surprise.
Well,
nothing
not much
happens
right now
until it does, and then
So I'll get John to contact you guys and.
Good.
This is going to be exciting stuff, really exciting stuff. He has a lot of cool stuff to tell about that and visuals to show.
Here is the a kind of small version of the image I was talking about. Where you might be tempted just to zoom in, and say, oh, let's look at Marilyn. But it's so much more interesting because of this face and this hand.
Right.
Yes.
It just adds, there's something going on in the picture. And of course, you end up as a viewer looking at Marilyn. I mean, that's what you want to. That's what you're interested in.
But you have that sense of arrival, which was one of our assignments once, wasn't it?
Arrival.
Oh yes,
it was for Arrival. Yeah. So that's the picture.
Beautiful picture.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sure it's somebody famous. This hotel was great. It was just a really fun.
Does it say who shot that picture? Is it Ouija?
Somebody stole it, of course, for a Marilyn Monroe fan site without
credit.
But you know what I can do, which is always a good thing, is save that image and then do a Google image search on it. This is a really useful little tip everybody should know about. If you then go to google.com and you do images, you drag Marilyn to the image here, it will give you matching images on Google, and you can find out. It's Dynamo. No, that's somebody. Let's see.
I should know. Yeah, I'm a photographer. I should know. I'm embarrassed.
We will know here. That's the same damn site. Maybe Leo's tip sucks.
Well, it means the human filter is still important.
It was a publicity still for, let's see, from bergdorfprincess.tumblr.com.
That's not helpful.
Yeah. People, if you're going to steal somebody's photo, give them credit.
Especially if it's an iconic photo of someone who's probably not alive anymore.
Yeah, give them. No photo credits here. I'll keep looking.
All right.
It's a shame, isn't it? Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Have a great week, and we'll talk in 2 weeks.
All right. Take care.
Bye. This is Getty Images Gallery. Getty will give it credit. Getty will tell us who took this picture. It's at the premiere of Walter Lang's film There's No Business Like Show Business. Photo by M. Garrett, Murray Garrett, Getty Images. So it's Murray Garrett took the picture. And you can buy it in resin or fiber for £80. So it's owned by Getty. But Murray took it. Don't know his work. Let's search for more Murray Garrett. See what else he's taken pictures of. Apparently did a lot of Maryland. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 88. Ask Leo. Time to talk about computers, the internet, smartphones, home, theater, and all that jazz. Let's get back to the phones. And our next caller is Sandy in Huntington Beach, California. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. I have a problem with my S3. It's doing all kinds of strange things, and the battery is dying very quickly every day. And the Verizon reps just say, oh, you need to upgrade, you need a new phone, you need a new phone. And I've heard you say so many times that you hate the 4 and the 5. Can I just get a new battery and solve my problem?
Yes, you can get a new battery.
Because I'm not a techie person. I don't need all the advanced things. I don't even know how to do everything that my phone will do now.
Have you ever taken the back off your S3?
Oh, several times.
Yeah, easy. You open it up, you see a little silver battery in there that says Samsung. You're just going to replace that. That's why it's not holding a charge. It's normal. That phone is several years old. After a few years, the batteries just stop holding a charge. So,
Do you still think adversely toward the 4 and the 5?
Well, understand what I don't. I loved the S3. I loved the S2. What started to happen with Samsung and the S4 and the S5s, they really wanted to create a Samsung ecoverse. So they have their own Samsung apps, and of course the carrier puts their apps on there as well. And pretty soon it's just completely different than the pure Android experience. There is a way you can get a Galaxy S, let me see if they have the S4 or the S5, from Google that is a pure Google experience. You might prefer that. If you go to the Google Play Store, let me just see. Oh, but you're on Verizon, you said.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll have a Verizon version of the phone. Let me just check real quickly. They sell the S4 in a Google Play edition for $650. It's expensive. Oh no,
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, because you see that's the actual cost of the phone. When you get it from Verizon and you're due for an upgrade, they subsidize it, then it's only $200 or maybe even less. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't sell this one anymore anyway. So I'm not against the S4 or the S5. If you're going to get it, by the way, get the S5. It's no more junked up than the S4 was. But do get the larger memory version, the 16-gigabyte version. They put so much stuff on there, stuff you can't uninstall, that you only get about 10 gigabytes or less free. And that's sometimes not enough. So I would, if look at how much you've stored on your phone. If you buy a lot of apps or you take a lot of pictures, it might be worth getting the extra memory on that. But yeah, I'm not against the S4 or S5, especially since you're already a Galaxy user. The TouchWiz interface they put on top of that is very similar. It feels like they've moved, and by the way, this is going to change, I believe, but it feels like they've moved farther and farther away from a pure Android experience and more towards a highly customized Samsung experience, and I'm less of a fan of that. That's personal.
But I would be fine with just getting a new battery then.
Yeah, you can keep that phone for another 2 years if you want, unless the phone itself is broken. No, go to Amazon and search for Galaxy S3 battery replacement. It's $10.66.
Super deal.
And actually, you get the Anker, which I like, ANKER. They also make them, and they're even less expensive.
Great, Leo. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, when the battery, if that's all that's going on, you can't hold a charge. Almost always that's just the battery. They do wear out. They have a limited number of charges. This is true of all lithium-ion batteries. Typically, it's somewhere around 500 full cycles, all the way down, all the way up 500 times. A half charge is half of that. So after 500 full cycles, about 2 years, right? Maybe less if you charge it discharge it every day and charge it up every night. Maybe only 500 days. After that time, it's not going to hold a charge. And that's the way lithium-ion works. It doesn't slowly degrade. It just says, I can't charge anymore. I'm done. And the good news about it, this is true also of the S4 and S5, about the Samsung Galaxy devices. They have removable backs, and you can put a new battery in. Can't do that with an iPhone. I like that. You have to bring it back to Apple to get the iPhone replaced. Is it Takia? I hope I'm saying that right. Takia in the UK. How do you say your name?
It's Takia.
Takia. Hi, Takia.
Yep. Hi, Leo. First, I'd just like to congratulate you on completing the 1100th episode.
Yay! I forgot to say that. It's episode 1100. Why, it seems like it was our 1000th episode just days ago.
It's a big accomplishment.
Where in the UK do you listen?
I'm from the Midlands area.
Wonderful. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. My question to you today is it's about password managers. I know you yourself use LastPass a lot, but what I wanted to know is for my desktop I use a Mac OS, and for my mobile phone I use Android, and ideally I want something that I can link between both of them easily. I've looked at LastPassword, looked at 1Password, Dashlane. There's a KeyPass also.
There's a lot of these. The idea is, and I strongly recommend everybody use one of these. Any one is better than none. What it does is it generates strong passwords for you, stores them for you. You remember one password that unlocks your password vault. It makes it so much easier for you. You're less tempted to use the same password on multiple sites. That's dangerous. You're less tempted to use easy-to-remember passwords. That's dangerous. So it's a very good security measure. And I think Dashlane's excellent. I think KeyPass, which is open source, is great. It's free. 1Password is kind of one of the oldest programs in this category, and they've kept it up to date. They do a great job. There's also RoboForm AI. That's good. But I'll tell you why I use LastPass. It's free. There's a premium version, which I recommend. If you're going to use it on Android, you need to pay the $1 a month, $12 a year for the premium version. It's totally cross-platform. I, like you, use a variety of things: Windows, Mac, Android, iPhone, Windows Phone. I use all different kinds of operating systems. LastPass works everywhere. BlackBerry, everywhere. And it works seamlessly. It's one of the best on Android because it is the only one on Android that does autofill. So when you open an application like Path, it can actually fill in the credentials for you, which is really great. I love LastPass. We've also had our security guy, Steve Gibson, look at it. And it's not open source, but the developer was very cooperative with Steve, gave him all the information. It's open source in a way because it's JavaScript. You can examine the code. And Steve gave it his thumbs up. Not to say that these other guys aren't, but I know that LastPass is well done, secure. When the Heartbleed virus bit a lot of people, including LastPass, nobody's data was compromised because LastPass does not have a copy of your passwords. Only you do. LastPass cannot access your data, so the Heartbleed bug was not a problem. They fixed it right away, and it still was not a problem. They have a great security auditing feature, too, which helps you understand when you haven't used strong passwords or you've duplicated passwords. I cannot recommend LastPass more highly. Any of them would be fine. If you see one you prefer, some people say the Dashlane interface is more elegant. RoboForm AI is really great on Windows. You know, 1Password, they've been around so long. I want to support them. I love those guys. But LastPass, to me, is the one I use and the one I recommend. I really, and they're not an advertiser. I just think the world of them. Hey, thanks for listening in the Midlands, UK. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Hour 3 of the Tech Eye Show. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to call and ask a question or make a suggestion or make a comment about anything in technology having to do with computers or the internet or home theater, digital photography, smartphones, all that stuff. Anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Michael is our next caller in Huntington Beach. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Yeah. I have a question having to do with cell phones. I'm not a very techie guy. I've been holding off upgrading one of the original Droids and looking at Samsung versus the iPhone. And one of the things that I've been shown is that the Samsung, you can multitask, meaning you can be on a telephone call. If you need to research some information, you can do that while you're talking to him and actually have access to the internet. And I was told that was a function of the Samsung phone. And then I was actually told by someone else recently it was a function of the network you're on. It
is. It's a function of the network. So it's something that technically can only be done on AT&T and T-Mobile, although because Verizon and Sprint are moving to LTE, it will not be an issue going forward.
When will they have that?
They're in the process of moving. All right, well, who's your carrier?
It is Verizon.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what the phone is. On Verizon, if you're in a call, you can't use the internet.
Okay.
That's not phone specific. That's Verizon specific. But Verizon is moving to LTE, and it may become phone specific because, see, what right now Verizon uses a voice technology called CDMA. They're phasing that out, as is Sprint, as is everybody. CDMA is an old technology, and they're moving everything to data, to LTE, including the phone call. Once that happens, then it's not an issue. You'll be able, data is data. You'll be able to surf the net and talk on the phone at the same time.
Well, I'm in the real estate business, and all the best applications are designed for the iPhone. I've been holding off.
Yeah, which is a good reason to go with an iPhone, frankly.
Well, the problem I have is the size of the screen and the keyboard for my fingers. But I understand they're coming out.
Yeah, so those will be solved. Those will be solved in the fall. Well, for sure the keyboard will be solved. For the first time ever, this is one of the things there were a few things that moved me to Android. One of the biggest was I hated the Apple keyboard, and there was no other choice. Now, on Android, you can use, there's a variety of third-party keyboards. One of them uses that swiping technique, which is, to me, far preferable than tapping. Instead of tapping out the letters, you draw from letter to letter, and the phone figures out what you mean. and it's much more, in my opinion, accurate and speedy than tapping. I'm a very bad tapper, especially on a small screen. So that was one for me that really was an issue. And also, frankly, the fact that Apple has not gone past 4 inches is an issue. I use, right now, the HTC One is my preferred phone, and that's a 5-inch screen. I also have a Galaxy Note 3, which has a 5.7-inch screen. I mean, these are much more like tablets. In fact, most of the newer Android phones have screens bigger than 5 inches. Now, we do know that Apple, because they've announced it, will allow third-party keyboards on iOS 8, the next version of the operating system. We've heard rumors, but Apple's not confirmed this yet, that they will offer larger screens. I think these are credible rumors. In fact, the rumors are that there'll be 2 new iPhones in the fall, one with a 4.7-inch screen. That's actually just right, in my opinion. That's a good-sized screen for a single-handed operation. And a really big 5.5-inch screen, which would rival the giant phones like the Galaxy Note. So if Apple does do that, boy, I think that will solve those 2 concerns for you. Since the software you want is primarily iPhone, I think iPhone is the right way to go for you. You have to consider that, right?
Right. It is important, but the idea of being able to be on the phone with a client and they ask you a question, you can actually get the information, that is really important in this day and age, in this particular industry. Timing is becoming much more important. So I have the question is, how long will it be until Verizon goes that way?
Well, you should ask Verizon. The iPhone 5 will not do that.
Yeah.
But now somebody in the chat room saying, hey, my Galaxy Note will surf and talk at the same time on Verizon. So this may be it may be Verizon's already turned on the capability, but the hardware has not caught up yet. I'm not sure on that in that regard. That one's a question for Verizon. Say specifically, and in fact, I wouldn't even trust the rep. I'd go into the store and try it.
Okay.
And you know, with all these companies, you can try a phone for a couple of weeks and then say, no, it's not working for me.
Right.
And I would strongly suggest that. Yeah, I can understand these are specific needs, and they're deal breakers. So you got to make sure the phone's going to do what you want it to do.
But you've been pleased with the HTC One, huh?
I love it. This is the new one, the M8. Oh, is this a great phone? And I have to say that I'm not sure what real estate apps you're talking about, but in general, the apps that have only been on iOS for so long are almost all now migrated to Android because Android phones are outselling iPhones. And so every company that makes apps is recognizing that and is, for the most part, they're offering Android versions as well.
So as if I didn't have the issue with the specific apps, what is your preference at this point in terms of a phone?
Well, there's pros and cons on the HTC One. It does not have a removable battery. Now, I imagine you're out in the field a long time, and battery life is key. Of course, if you're in your car, you can always charge it in the car.
Yeah, that's not a big issue.
Okay. That's the only negative on the HTC One. I love the one. The camera is spectacular. The phone itself is very reliable. Battery life is about 16 hours. I found that to be right up there with the best of them. Yeah, I love the HTC One. It's a beautiful phone.
The Samsung, huh? It's amazing.
I'm not a Samsung fan. You know, Samsung gets the lion's share of business because they spend a lot of money on advertising. Have you seen any ads for the HTC One? Probably not. Have you seen ads for Samsung? Definitely. I don't care what you're watching. So people buy Samsung, but frankly, I don't think they're the best in class. I think they're a better. I think the HTC One is a better phone, frankly. And make sure you get the latest one, the M8. The M7 came out a year ago. It's the M8 that
I'm holding off and see. I'm going to hold off until
I would wait, see what Apple does. That's not so. You know, it's September. If you can wait till then.
Yeah. Oh, I can hang on. Sure.
Yeah. I would, and you know what? There are going to be other phones that come out between now and then that may be worth looking at. The LG G3 looks pretty amazing. There's this new OnePlus phone, which is a great phone. It's very inexpensive, $325, but you can't buy it. You have to get a friend to invite you, which is weird. So there are some really great phones coming down the pike. I expect to see some new phones like the Galaxy Note 4 from Samsung. That's due out in the next month or so. So there's a lot of new stuff coming. If you can, I think waiting till September to see what Apple does will give you many more choices. It's always good nowadays if you can wait. These things iterate so fast.
Well, thank you very much, Leo.
Hey, my pleasure. Good luck. It's a fun choice. It's a hard choice, but it's a fun choice. And it's funny. We used to have these conversations endlessly. I've been doing this show since the early 90s. And we used to have these conversations endlessly about which computer to buy. People don't ask me that much anymore. That's not the question. But there are such differences in smartphones. And because these are so personal, it really is a choice you need to make. I can't say to you, this is the best phone. I really can't. It's something you need to put in your pocket and carry around. And in fact, I would take advantage of the 2 weeks that the phone companies offer you to try something, to really get a sense of, is this the right phone for me? Because they all have some quirks. I have to say the negative on the HTC One, and maybe I'm a little harder on my phones than some people are, but this thing is pretty banged up now because of the metal. It's all metal. And unlike plastic, metal, it's scraped and dinged and banged. And while I haven't broken it, it's starting to look a little shabby. But that's in 6 months. That's pretty quick. I do feel like it's an exciting category. It's a fast-moving category. It's a tough place to make choices, but the good news is you have lots of choices. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 4G phones, Verizon 4G phones on a 4G network can now surf and talk at the same time.
If you're running a small business...
Thank you for the correction. So Verizon has flipped the switch on that. So if you have... I think probably the thing is if you have a SIM card... Well, no, I guess not, because the iPhone 5 doesn't do it. On anything but an iPhone, I think Apple made some choices, but anything but... If you have a SIM card in your Verizon phone, then you probably can surf and call at the same time. It's using the LTE. Does that sound right? If anybody has a 1+1 and will send me an invitation, I would greatly appreciate it. I can't get one. Your iPhone 5 does? Okay, see, I'm confused. Verizon 4G is LTE. The question is whether they've moved voice to LTE. And, of course, to use LTE, you have to have a SIM. And I would bet that any phone that has a SIM on Verizon also, you can surf and talk at the same time, that they've moved to the iPhone can surf and call at the same time. On Verizon is the question, Des. We're only talking about CDMA networks at this point. For a while, it was an issue that you could not on Verizon talk and surf at the same time. Yeah, it's voice over LTE, VoLTE. That's exactly right with 1354. That's exactly it. So the only thing I wasn't sure of is if Verizon had turned on voice over LTE yet. Apparently they have. So now you have to get a phone that supports it. Yeah, maybe it's market specific. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, it's really interesting. I'm talking with the chat room about whether you can use the phone and surf the same time on Verizon. And it does seem to be phone specific. You need a phone that supports voice over LTE. It may be region specific too, because of course Verizon has to turn on voice over LTE for it to work, and maybe they haven't everywhere. There seems to be some debate over whether it works and whether it doesn't. So my suggestion is go to your Verizon store and ask them. And hope they know and they tell you the truth. Wesley, Alexandria, Louisiana. Hi, Wesley. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thank you for taking my call, man.
Well, thank you. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm calling on behalf of my brother. He has an iPhone 5. I heard you talking to that lady earlier about a battery problem she was having, and I think it may be the battery problem, but here's the deal. It's a fairly new phone. It's not too old. Whenever he uses it, whenever it goes down to about 30%, fairly fast. Whenever he opens up Snapchat, or any app rather, it'll completely shut down. So it doesn't go down past like 25% maybe.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not right. And it probably when you said fairly recent, is it still in warranty? Is it less than a year old?
I believe it should. I know he's with a different company than I am.
That's not normal. That's not normal, and it's not a symptom of a bad battery. Bad battery just would not charge anymore. The sudden loss of power, it could be an issue with the phone. It also could be an issue with some of the apps he's using. I haven't noticed that Snapchat drains the battery, but I guess if you left it on and used it a lot, it would. You know, the thing, here's what uses the battery most: the screen. And then the thing that you got to watch out for, if you're not using the screen a lot, and unfortunately, in the current iOS, Apple doesn't tell you this information. They will in the next version. They don't tell you what's using the battery, so you have to guess. But if you don't use the screen a lot, like you're using the screen less than, say, half an hour per charge, then it's programs in the background that wake up the phone to get data. Facebook is the worst on this. If you've got Facebook, it every hour will check to see if there's anything new. Anything new? Anything new? And I recommend anybody who uses a Facebook app to set it to never check, just update whenever I open it. I only want to know what's new on Facebook when I open Facebook. I don't want to know any other time. You won't get notifications that your friends have posted in that case, but it sure saves battery life. Snapchat may be similar.
Right.
But I have to say, it sounds like you've got a bad battery or a bad charging system or something like that. And if it's still under warranty, I would take it in. Apple's very good about replacing those. It shouldn't drop to 30% or 25% that quickly. That's not right.
Okay, Leah. Well, we'll go get it checked out then. That'd be good.
All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Take care. Gary in Camarillo, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Carbonite. I use it and I like it, but I found out the hard way. If I delete something on my computer, 30 days, it used to be 3 months, I think, but now it's 30. They delete it off their end. And
right.
I thought they stored it. I could go back and get it, but I was.
Yeah, this is really an important point. It's an important point for all backup. A backup isn't a backup if there's one copy. I don't care if the copy's on your, quote, backup. It's not a backup. So if you deleted the originals and you had a backup somewhere else, you still don't have a backup. You need to have 2 copies of everything. That's one point. So deleting the original and expecting Carbonite to keep it, that's not unreasonable, but it's still not a good solution because you only have a single point of failure. Now, it is important to understand that Carbonite does versioning. It'll keep versions of your apps, but if you delete something, it's going to think, hey, he didn't want it. It's not a deletion. I think a lot of people say, oh, I've got a copy, now I can delete the original. That's not what that means. A backup doesn't mean you can delete the original. And I think Carbonite probably needs to do a better job of explaining to you up front in clear language that don't delete your originals if you want to keep the file. We'll give you a 30-day grace period, but after that, we're going to delete it too because we're going to assume, oh, he deleted it because he didn't want it. I think a lot of people, and this is a mistake, say, it's backed up, I can delete it now. No, whether it's Carbonite or anything else. A backup means you got 2 copies at least. I would recommend 3. So even if you're using Carbonite, what I suggest is having a local copy next to your computer, a copy on Carbonite, and keep the original. And if you delete the original, put another copy somewhere else. Have 3 copies of everything. An original and 2 backups is fine. So I do apologize that happened. I'm sorry if you've lost data. You might check with them because, they probably don't want me to publicize this, but they do keep copies. And you probably, they have backups of the backup. And if you call them, they might be able to recover something even past that 30-day period. Call them and ask them nicely. They're pretty good guys. They recently, a couple of years ago, they had support in India, and they moved it back to the U.S. They realized, I think it's coming from Maine now. They realized, you know what, we're not getting the best support. So now they have really good U.S.-based support. So give them a ring and throw yourself on their mercy. And those of us who are super paranoid have multiple copies of everything. And I think that's the right way to do it. It's the right way to do it. It's kind of funny. There's a guy. Do you ever use Prodigy? You have to be of a certain age. But in the 90s, Prodigy, for a lot of people growing up in the 90s, was the internet. It wasn't really. It was just, Prodigy. But it was an online service. It had graphics. It had games. And in 1999, they turned it off. They flipped the switch, and it went away. And anything that was stored on Prodigy, in theory, went away. Well, there's a guy who missed Prodigy. He grew up with it. and he started trying to recover his Prodigy. He wanted to make screen grabs of the Prodigy interface and stuff. So he installed the Prodigy app because it was like AOL had a special app. And he was getting screen grabs, and he somehow figured out that there are cache files. Stage.dat is a cache file of stuff he did on Prodigy. If you had those old hard drives from your days using Prodigy, he's got a little script he can run, and you can recover screenshots of stuff you did on Prodigy from back then. Now that's wild. So there's an example of data that just never went away, even if you wanted it to. 8880. I'm sorry that happened, Gary. But call him and see if you can get it back. It is one of the pitfalls of any backup solution. Is you got to have more than just one copy, even if that copy is on something labeled backup. 8888 Ask Leo. Another half hour to go. Would love to hear from you. Give me a ring. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So you're saying that this 7A is the same as the 1+1 or no? I mean, what are the difference? 1920 by 1080, 403 PPI. That's the same. 5.5-inch screen. 13 megapixel camera. It's probably the same. Is that the same? F2.0 aperture. Rapid charge. It's got the boom sound. But 2800 milliamp. This is removable. That's what you were saying was better. Quad core 801. Yeah, this does look a little bit. I have to check it. Compare it. And it's $499 in Astro Black. You can get 10 gigabits on Cat 6. It's properly wired. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's dance. Deborah in Silver Lake, California. You're next. Thanks for hanging on, Deborah.
Hi. Thank you, Leo. I have
welcome.
a question that kind of relates to your last two callers' questions.
Oh, good. Okay.
I have an iPhone, and my text messages are taking up about 12.4 gigabytes of memory.
That's that other, right? Yes.
To the point where I can't record any more video or take any more pictures. And these messages are essentially a record of my correspondence with my clients. So you can probably guess what I'm going to ask you. I want to know what is the best way to put everything somewhere else, store it on my computer or in the cloud, so that I can free up that memory and continue to use my phone for my business. But I also, the important thing is I want to be able to access those videos and pictures, and if I want to grab something to post on my website or resend something to a client, I can actually take those. It's not just read only. I can access them and send them if I want to.
See, that's a little tricky. If you just want a copy of the data, there are several programs out there that will extract it and put it on your hard drive so you could refer back to it. But you want to keep more. You want to keep it on the phone.
Do I? Do I have to keep it on my phone?
Well, if you want to, you said you want to be able to like click a message and respond to it.
Well, through iMessage, I'm able to grab photos off of my computer and send them to people.
Oh, I see.
Or send them to myself. If they don't have an iPhone, I can at least send it to myself and then take it from my phone and send it to them.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have to be on my phone as long as I can go back and refer to them.
Well, you can certainly transfer it to your computer. In fact, Messages, I think, has that capability. And there certainly are third-party programs that will do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. But then they're on the computer, and you would have to use the computer to, say, find that picture and resend it.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. Well, macroplant.com has a program that will download your messages. They have a free trial, which is a good idea, Mac or PC. You didn't mention, are you on a Mac or a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
Okay. Wide Angle Software has a program called Touch Copy that does that as well.
Nice.
There is, from the Ecamm folks, there's Phone View. That's more general. It allows you to look at all sorts of stuff and copy it.
I have sent them a message asking them if it's the right app for me. I should hear from them.
I like them, but some of these other programs I mentioned let you download a trial version, which is always the best way to do it.
Well, I just want to make sure that what happens to me isn't what happened to your last caller, which is I take everything off my phone, thinking I'm storing it, but it's actually a backup, and once I delete it off my phone, it goes away permanently. That's what I don't want to happen.
Well, do you back up currently? Would you plug it into your computer and run iTunes backup?
I do.
Well, you have those SMS messages in that iTunes backup. They're in there.
With my photos and videos?
Yep.
And what about
same thing if you use iCloud. The backup has them. It's nice if you use the iTunes backup because then you can open the folder, browse through it. They're weirdly named. They're kept in a database, a SQL-Lite database, but they're there.
What about the message I keep receiving that says the phone is not backed up because I don't have enough memory?
Ooh.
I know. That's what I can't see.
That's a catch-22. Well, you should back it up so you can delete some stuff so you'd have more memory, but you can't back up because you can't delete stuff because you have too much.
I don't want to delete the stuff. This is, I mean, now it's my text instead of my emails or letters are my correspondence with my clients. So I need to go back over them and be able to refer to them.
There's iExplorer, there's Phone View, there's Copy Trans. There's a dozen of these programs. I like Ecamm's Phone View. I think that's really a great program. I've used it for years.
So the way I could test it would be to download it for free and then just delete something off my phone. And
don't delete it. Just download it and see if you can see it on the desktop. You don't have to delete anything. Don't delete anything yet.
But so that I can make sure that if I delete it on my phone, it'll still be there in Phone View.
Well, but you don't have to do the deletion part. That makes me nervous. Here's what you do. You run Phone View on your Mac. It copies everything over to your hard drive.
Okay.
Now it's a folder on your hard drive.
Yeah.
Deleting it on your phone doesn't matter. It's not going to change what's on your hard drive.
Okay. All right.
So it's somewhere. It's in a folder on your hard drive, and you should put say this is Deborah's text messages from 2007, and name that folder and put it somewhere on your desktop or whatever, and then you could do anything you want to your phone. You could reset your phone. You've got all the stuff there.
So it's not going to be like the carbonite issue.
No, it's not really because they're not linked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phone View just makes a copy. It doesn't synchronize or anything.
All right, Leo. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Phone View is great, and the messages will look as a PDF, and you get your pictures, and you'll have everything.
So if I wanted to take one of those photos and resend it to a client, or if I wanted to grab one and post it on my website, I'd be able to do that?
All of the pictures will be saved. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Sure, Deborah. My pleasure.
Okay.
It's actually a real problem on iOS. Even if you delete them, you may find that you don't recover those 12 gigabytes. And if you look on your iTunes, you'll see a big yellow category called Other. That's the stuff. It's cached. It's saved even if you delete them. Because I don't keep text. I delete everything. Every day I delete all the old text messages because I can't. It's too hard to figure out. I just don't want it all. But it doesn't get rid of those cached photos, and that stuff can really add up. So if you've seen a big yellow Other on that bar chart, that shows you how your memory is used on your iPhone. Mostly that's old stuff. And the only way I know of to get rid of it is to just reset the phone, back it up, wipe it, and restore it. That's a lot. And by the way, that Jeff points out, and he's right, that's going to get better. They know that's a pain point, and they apparently are fixing that in the next version of iOS. Ellis in Marina Del Rey, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Ellis. How you doing?
Leo?
This be he. What can I do for you?
Hello?
Hello!
Is this Leo?
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure to talk with you. A long-time listener. You're fabulous.
Thanks for hanging on for so long, Ellis. I appreciate it.
Listen, our question came up. We were listening to you about these drones which take pictures.
Yeah.
And the question is, do you know if there are any air rights established, say, on an individual building or residence?
Isn't that a great question? So it is illegal to do this. The FAA, you can't do it for commercial purposes. You can do it for personal use only. If you were a realtor and you were using a drone to take pictures of a building, that would be illegal. And in fact, Amazon has decided they want to deliver stuff via drones. Maybe you saw this on 60 Minutes. If you're, yeah, this was not a joke. They really do plan to do this, and they have just applied to the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, for the right to do this. It is illegal until the FAA says it's okay. Air rights. Boy, you're gonna have to get a lawyer on this one. Air rights, I guess they extend up, but how far do they extend up? Obviously not forever. You wouldn't have commercial air traffic. I believe the FAA regulates it. Once you get into the air, the FAA regulates it. And I do know that the regulations prohibit drones for commercial purposes, and there's even some question about these quadcopters. We have a quadcopter, and we are not allowed, I cannot shoot footage from my quadcopter that I use on a TV show. I can do it for my personal use only.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people have thought about this. I'm an architect, so it would be a benefit for me to take one of these and shoot over.
Perfect example. That's a commercial use.
Yeah. So I'm just curious if they've done any legislating on this yet.
I think they will, because clearly this is changing fast, isn't it? And the FAA might be a little out of date on this. Let me do some research and see what I can find for you. But this is one for the lawyers. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The FAA says that it's illegal for real estate agents, for instance, and I would assume this is the same as architects, to use drones.
What about DJI Phantom shooting promotional?
Yeah, that's illegal.
For their drone.
That's illegal.
Which is all over their website.
Drones are illegal for commercial purposes, according to the FAA. Filmmaking and journalism would count. This is recent. You know, it's always been the case, but nobody ever asked them. So the FAA considers it illegal to fly drones for commercial purposes, including real estate photography. A judge earlier this year struck down the FAA ban on commercial drone flights. However, the FAA has appealed, so it is currently still illegal, and they could fine you up to $10,000. The FAA is currently working on rules to govern the use of small drones defined as weighing less than 55 pounds and staying within 400 feet of the ground. But those rules have been delayed. So you run the risk of getting fined. And it sounds like the FAA wants to enforce it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have appealed that ruling, striking it down. This has just exploded lately. So the court, by the way, this is a USA Today article from last week. The court ruling against the FAA has emboldened some real estate professionals, they write, to take to the skies. In March, an administrative law judge for the NTSB ruled the FAA's ban on commercial drone flights was not legally enforceable. This was a case where a guy was fined $10,000 by the FAA for flying a drone over the University of Virginia to obtain promotional footage. They busted him and fined him $10,000. He went to court. The administrative law judge said that's not legal. The FAA is appealing, so it's kind of up in the air, if you'll forgive the pun. So the risk, I guess, at this point is if the court, if the FAA wins on appeal, then you could end up owing them money. If they lose, right now all you'd get is a letter. The National Association of Realtors is saying do not use drones until we get clarification on the regulations. There's safety concerns, there's privacy concerns. I remember reading this on there's a great drone site. I remember reading about this. It was like DIY drones. Yeah, I remember reading about this on DIY drones a while ago. And they were really concerned. That it might be illegal. apparently for that's the funny thing. If it were safety and privacy concerns, then why would it be illegal to do it for non-commercial purposes? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I've done a little research. And this is a very hot topic right now. We have one of these AR drone quadcopters. Actually, ours is not a Parrot. Ours is another one. It's a really cool quadcopter that you can attach a camera to, and they have a new one that comes with a camera, but you put a GoPro or some similar portable camera on there, and you fly it, and it's so stable, it's so smooth. We've only used it once, right, John? But apparently that use was illegal, and the FAA could fine us $10,000. Oops. Who knew?
I've used it personal use for...
Personal use is apparently completely legal.
20 hours.
You've flown it 20 hours, says John, and that's a lot because you can only get 15 minutes at a charge. But can we use it for our TV? No. Can you use it as an architect? No. Can you use it as a real estate? In fact, the National Association of Realtors is telling realtors, don't until the FAA clarifies this. Article from July 7th in USA Today points out that the FAA fined a guy named Raphael Parker for flying a drone over the University of Virginia. He was shooting promotional footage for UVA. They caught him and they fined him $10,000. He went to court, and an administrative law judge for the National Traffic Safety Bureau back in March ruled that this FAA ban was not commercially or not legally enforceable. FAA is appealing. They want it. They're insistent. So the FAA cites privacy concerns, sure, and safety concerns, sure. Those are all reasonable. But what's weird is that they're only banning it for commercial use. So aren't there privacy and safety concerns if, I as a hobbyist fly my drone over the neighbor's backyard? I mean, just because I'm non-commercial doesn't mean there aren't concerns. For whatever reason, the FAA, maybe they feel like they can only pursue this if you're doing it for commercial reasons. But if, as our last caller says, I'm an architect, I want to shoot pictures of buildings, can't do it. Not for commercial purposes. You run the risk of a $10,000 fine. Now, because of that court case, you won't have to pay the fine right now. You'll merely get a cease and desist letter from the FAA. Should they prevail in court, you might get a bill. The FAA is looking at new rules, and I suspect that they will come up with rules. But remember, these rules may end up being more draconian. They may say you have to be trained and licensed to fly it, just like a commercial pilot. So this is an interesting question, an unanswered question. But the current rule is it is not legal to fly a drone with a camera on it for commercial purposes. And as I mentioned, Amazon, which wants to do delivery drones, which is also illegal, they've requested FAA permission. Commercial use of drones is basically illegal, period. They sent an FAA letter on Wednesday saying we just want to test them over Amazon property. They've still got a way to go. Amazon's drones are pretty powerful. They can go 50 miles an hour. They can haul up to a 5-pound package. And Amazon says, hey, since about 86% of our packages are less than 5 pounds and most of our deliveries are within a few miles of a fulfillment center, this would be great. I can think of all sorts of problems. You don't want, I mean, maybe in 10 years we'll just go look up in the sky and say, oh, yeah, there goes the Amazon drone. But imagine congestion, the issues of interfering with commercial flight, privacy concerns, safety concerns. What if a drone comes hurtling out of the sky to 50 miles an hour at your head? So it's all a big question mark right now. I would say be careful, don't do it. John in Woodbridge, New Jersey, you're next. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, congratulations on your 1100th episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We were talking, well, not we, you were talking about yesterday about disk encryption and everything like that with BitLocker and Firebolt.
Yes.
Firebolt, sorry. And I was just wondering, since TrueCrypt is basically gone,
do you have any alternatives that we could use for, let's say, cross-platform computing, let's say for Windows and Macs?
So as we talked about yesterday, Windows professional and enterprise versions come with BitLocker, a proprietary solution that Microsoft offers. You said FileVault, that's Apple's proprietary version for Macintoshes. Neither is cross-platform. But I don't know if cross-platform matters, does it? Because you're encrypting data attached to a particular computer. I guess if you wanted to move the drive over?
Yes. I mean, I have a network-attached storage, and I keep, let's say, some sensitive information inside that container.
Yeah. So you theoretically could still use TrueCrypt if you had a copy of the latest, not the latest version, because they offered a version for download on the TrueCrypt site that stripped it out. Something weird. We still don't know. This is a murder mystery here. I want Hercule Poirot or somebody to solve this, because it's a very strange murder mystery. All of a sudden, one day, the folks who do TrueCrypt, who were anonymous, although we think it was primarily a programmer from the Czech Republic, put up a very strange message on their site saying, TrueCrypt is no longer secure, don't use it, use BitLocker. And it's strange for so many reasons. First of all, there's no reason to think TrueCrypt is not secure. In fact, it is currently being audited by an independent third-party cryptographer from the university, or I guess Johns Hopkins. He's audited the part of it already and says it's fine. We won't have the full results of the audit to the end of the summer. If that audit comes back, because it's open source, that means he can look at it line by line and make sure that it is secure, that it's done right, that there's no backdoor for any government agency. Then you could theoretically use TrueCrypt till the cows come home. I mean, it was pretty much, for all intents and purposes, done. They weren't really improving it because they didn't need to. It was done. Otherwise, I don't know of any good free and open, and that's the key, free and open solution. There are plenty of commercial solutions. We mentioned even these whole drive encryption built into the hard drive. That's probably what I would use, by the way, for now. But I've always said this, open source encryption's best because, in theory, you can examine it. You can make sure that it doesn't have any secret backdoors in it. So we're going to put a link. There is the chat room has given me, thank you, Raymond, a link to a PC Word article that talks about this TrueCrypt weirdness and then offers some alternatives. I've asked around. I don't think there is anything that is exactly the same, but there are some alternatives. We'll also put a link to the website Alternative to that will also have some other links. In my opinion, there's nothing the same. There's nothing that is open source. Now, TrueCrypt wasn't technically open source, but you could read the source code. The license was weird. The whole thing was weird. And frankly, I feel as if there's more to this story than meets the eye. You know, this is Murder, She Wrote territory. I want Angela Lansbury to investigate this. There was a kind of an odd thing going around that the first letters of the TrueCrypt farewell statement at the top of the page spelled in Latin, if you want to use the NSA. I don't know if that's real. The whole thing is weird. So, and I don't, stay tuned. But not now. Well, do stay tuned, but I'm done. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.